Boop. Hello there, audience, members of the people who are watching this. Welcome to the stream. Today, right now at least, we just have a little bit of Aqua and a little bit of Leah, as we are waiting for our friend Ray to get back from a family thing. But it is not too big of a deal today, as we are just checking out the Apocalypse system. We're
Yeah.
not going to be playing too much today. We're not going to be doing anything like super in-depth or complicated. We are going to be checking out a cool system here that I have some familiarity with, and Aqua has significantly more familiarity with. So I'm
So it's
excited.
been a while.
And I mean, I would say you still have more familiarity than I do, but I'm excited to give it a look-see and see what folks' opinions are on it.
Yeah.
I'm just getting the screen adjusted properly as I
And I
get
guess while you
things
do
ready.
that, I'll just kind of briefly mention that. So the reason why I chose Apocalypse World to talk about today is because it's a game that I really enjoyed playing, quote, quote, back in the day, um, when it first, around when it first came out. Um, and I wanted to de-Russ. So
Yeah,
just one of
and
those
that
things. And I
is,
had a lot of fun with it.
I mean, it is a very cool system. Like, it is a very, very cool system. And I am very excited to actually give people a chance to check it out and see what kind of things can come with it. Because, especially because of, uh, and we were talking about this before we went live, but like, this system started so many other systems. There are so many systems that come from the Apocalypse system, and like have a way of changing how to approach systems, or have a way of changing how to approach TTRPGs or roleplay or combat in ways that, in my opinion, forever changed the TTRPG scene. This game, there are so many systems that come from this game and owe themselves to this game. Basically, I would say actually, and after watching Daggerheart be played, Daggerheart even owes certain aspects to this system, because the D12 system that they function with operates in an interestingly similar way to the way that this system works, because it's based on laws of averages and how most often you are going to get in between a certain number statistically, and then the statistically unlikely numbers are the ones that change the game. So that's like the crits versus the, and I think it's very interesting. A 2d12 system. So, but we're a little bit off topic for Daggerheart, but I really like Apocalypse, and I think Apocalypse does a really good job of showcasing a lot of different ways to approach TTRPGs.
And that's like, I don't know, I think that's especially really cool seeing where it's like branched out with, because I know when I feel like Rip Van Winkle basically with all
Mm-hmm.
of this,
Mm-hmm.
because it's like so like a little bit of backstory, and I won't go into too much detail because I don't know how much we want to
I
like
mean, you
talk
can.
about
That
personal
is that
stories.
is today. Like it is.
Um, yeah,
We're just checking things out today. So that is personal
yeah.
stories. I feel like matter.
Yeah, like so my history with the game when it came out. So I had a group that I played with in college, and it was our like I love that group. We played a lot of games, had a really good DM, um, and unfortunately, one of our players, it was a friend of the group. He was same age as me. He like all of a sudden it was found that he worked as like as esthetician esthetician he was a
Aesthetic,
nurse.
yeah, esthetician,
Yeah,
yeah.
and just out of nowhere found he had very aggressive stage 4 cancer, and it was very quick, and he unfortunately had passed away before we could finish our last game, for our dungeon or apocalypse world session. And it was something that like deeply affected me. It was such a good game, um, that like even with all that happening, I mean, I was a little traumatized because it was just like, someone. that you knew and that was close to you and you had some history with, um, passing away. It was just kind of like, well, and then, moving away from that group as like everyone sort of like grew apart, life happens, people start families and all that stuff. So it was just one of those things where it just kind of drifted away on the sands of time. And it just, as I was reminiscing over things and thinking about all that stuff and my friend, um, I was like, you know what? I really do want to give this game a go again, and maybe potentially like do a game in his honor, maybe. Like just sort of thinking of like little ways to honor uh, the time and experience of it, and being able to play games with friends and
Yeah, I know
just
you've mentioned. I know
spending
you
that time
mentioned.
together.
I know you mentioned wanting to do Dungeon World at some point, and I do think we can check that out next time. But I do think it would be cool to come back to Apocalypse World and play a game kind of in that
Yeah.
honor. I
Oh,
would
I'm sorry.
absolutely
I
love to
meant
do
to
that.
say Apocalypse World. So okay, so we I keep accidentally saying them like interchangeably, so that is
Hmm.
totally my bad. Because we actually are that group learned and played Dungeon World before we got into Apocalypse
And
World.
for anyone who isn't familiar with Dungeon World, what is Dungeon World?
So Dungeon World was kind of like a similar something similar in the vein too, like Apocalypse World and like that kind of play style where it was more role play um, heavy. And let's see here. Let me get the little
Hi,
synopsis about it.
Vaughn.
So,
Thank you for the sub really quickly. I always
hi.
appreciate it. And while I'm pausing really quickly for a technical thing, just quick shout out to Ross Budgen on YouTube, providing the music "The Wasteland," royalty copyright free. Really good little background track. Go ahead, Aqua.
Okay, all good. But Dungeon World is also a similar sort of tabletop game where the whole idea is that it's supposed to be like easy to play. Like it's not meant to be rule heavy or anything
It's a
like that.
narrative-based system.
Yeah, yeah. So it's meant to be quick and easy to run with like the toolkit and stuff. And dice rolling is more of just, finding like having more interesting outcomes, whereas um, everything else just kind of helps move things forward.
I
And it was I had so much fun with that because we played Dungeon World, and then I think it was something along like using that system, but it was called Pirate World, where you could use like we had a game where we played with more of a pirate theme, and
mm-hmm.
oh, that was so fun. That was just I to not get too off track. My favorite part about that was the being able to. I was what was it a seal druid, and I was very temperamental, and my alignment changed based on the weather. And it was such a fun character, like kind of a thing. But anyway, so that was just sort of like a little tidbit of that. But like you could do a bunch of really fun things with that system, and it just was such a good times. So yeah, I'm being an old lady, like reminiscing over these
Hey, we all
these
have things that we
things.
reminisce over. Everyone has things that they're like,
Oh,
oh yeah, that. I mean, that is the point of talking about TTRPGs. Like, if you
oh
ever get a
yeah, yeah,
group of
yeah.
TTRPG players stuck in a room together, you give them 10 minutes, and everyone's going to be like, oh, there's this one time when I was playing this one game and I did this one thing. I
Right.
that's just how it works. I very much agree. I really love the kind of simple to run system. Something that I've noticed running them, and I actually run a Monster of the Week game on Friday nights, or not Friday nights, on Monday nights. Funny enough, I'll be running a Monster of the Week game, which is an apocalypse hack, or what they're kind of called in the
Oh,
TTRPG community.
yeah.
Apocalypse hacks are basically where someone takes the basics of the apocalypse system
Mhm.
and adjusts them, adds to them, alters them, edits them, or in some way changes them to fit a certain rule. So they might like change the playbooks in some way. They might change some of the names of the stats or how the stats slightly function. They might change some of the moves. But the basic core concept of Apocalypse, the 2d6 system, pass fail, no DM rolling, is how they still operate. And I love apocalypse hacks. I'm making an apocalypse hack. They're very easy to make. They're very easy to run, and they're very uh, adaptable, I think is the term that is really
Mhm.
appropriate, where that you can kind of make an apocalypse hack for just about anything.
Yeah.
And you can reflavor any apocalypse system to fit just about anything. And that is something really great about them. Something I have noticed about them, though, is that they
Yeah.
run very fast. The games are very
Mhm.
quick.
Mhm.
You move from place to place really quick. You move from situation to really quick. Combat last is fairly quick. It plays more like you're watching a TV show. And so I have tended to run Monster of the Week sessions 1 to 2 hours rather than like 3+ hours as most people do for D&D.
Exactly.
And the 1 to 2 hour
Exactly.
sessions, just because like things move faster, you can wrap up a story quicker. And if you're prepping, which often you don't prep too much for these games because of how much the players influence the story in the world. But if you have stuff prepped or have an idea of where you want things to go, you're often going to want to cut earlier so that you can kind of figure out where things are going to go from there. And I've
Yeah.
actually really liked that sort of pick up and play system, like that kind of casual, little bit quicker in and out, but you still get that good TTRPG feel. Like I love that personally. I tend to run shorter games in general for people. This is just personal attention span. I have an easier time running shorter games.
Yeah.
And so I like having a system that lends itself really well to running a game that isn't as actively time consuming. Because, like, don't get me wrong, I love Warhammer. Played Warhammer last night. But that's 4 hour for one combat.
Right. Well, and just like the quick and easy like systems that you can pick up, it makes it just so much more accessible to the public.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and I like I
Absolutely.
know so many people who do have like, attention span difficulties
Oh
among
yeah,
other things.
yeah, yeah,
And I
yeah.
mean, and even outside of that, whether you're neurodivergent or not, people are just they're busy. There's like people have lives, they're either busy working or they have other obligations. And it just that constant struggle of trying to be able to schedule time to even play games together is
Mm-hmm.
usually like, scheduling savage.
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
So
very, very rough. It absolutely plays havoc on your scheduling.
yeah, so just I
When
don't know, I
I
really do enjoy these.
when I used to run TTRPGs at a local game shop nearby, because I had kind of a thing with a local game shop where I would kind of get discounts on snacks and that kind of thing, and I would run a TTRPGs at their place. I wasn't quite official as some of the other people working there, but I still did it relatively often, and running Monster of the Week was very popular. Like people really, really vibed with that because it
Yeah.
was very easy to just pick up and play. And
Mhm.
there were a lot of people who are like, "Oh, I'm not familiar with games, or I'm not familiar with TTRPGs, or I'm not familiar with all this kind of thing," that would have that worry. But I have found that Apocalypse lends itself really well because one of the easiest things, and the game, I don't remember if the game actually suggests this or if this was just what the first person I ever played this with did for me,
Yeah.
but the way that they went about it is in order to help for because like a lot of people really struggle with coming up with characters off the bat, especially if they have no familiarity with TTRPGs.
Yeah,
So
and it
the way
takes so
that
much thought.
it does take a lot of thought, especially if you aren't familiar, like if you don't have the practice. And something I really liked is they looked at me and they went, uh which or like if you were in the apocalypse, if the apocalypse happened, who do you imagine you would be? Or in an apocalypse setting, what kind of character do you really like? And the
Mhm.
way that the playbooks work out, the way that the playbooks are basically stereotypes or archetypes that are built into media, make it really easy for a character to be like, boom, that like that's the vibe, that's what I really really like. And if we're looking at just the basic playbooks, not even the extended, and this is kind of getting into the game a little bit, Battle Babe, Angel, Brainer, Chopper,
Ah, yes.
Gunlugger, Driver,
Mm-hmm.
Hardholder, Hocus, Savvy Head, Maestro D, Skinner. And you, even in those basic ones, you're gonna find something that fits what you're looking for in Apocalypse. And that is something I really like. Is that you'll find the game is really it lends itself well to the players being in charge of their own character and how they want to play. Uh,
Exactly.
Getting into the actual mechanics really quickly, I will cover dice really quick, and then we can get into the actual like writing of the world, yeah, or the like the
Yeah, yeah.
apocalypse basic rule set. So for
Sounds
anyone
good.
not familiar, really quickly, this is a apocalypse system runs on a 2d6 system, and it's called a pass fail system, where they're basically two different ways that situations can go, with one of them having further breakdown. In these systems, you either pass or you fail. If you fail, the DM, or the keeper, as they're called in these games, the secret keeper, they describe what happens in the situation. So if you roll 2d6 and the total of your number plus your stat is lower, is 6 or lower, you fail. DM describes what happens, and they can usually do damage to you. They can take a hard move and cause a situation to happen. They can bring in a monster or a creature or a danger of some kind. They can take something away from you. Those are the basic things that a keeper will do on a failure. A success is between a 7 and 9, and statistically you're most likely going to be rolling successes most often. That's just statistically how it goes until you get higher levels, or you're rolling things you're particularly good at, and then you have statistically you're going to be rolling 10s. 7 to 9 is statistically, again, what you will roll most often, and that's called a mixed success. You will get what you want, but with a cost. You will succeed your goal, but there will be, but you'll have to make a choice between either fully succeeding or partially succeeding, with consequences based on them. And there are cases where the GM will be like, you can succeed, but this will happen, and then a player will choose not to succeed because they don't want the consequence. That can happen, like, on occasion. Lastly, there is full successes, which is if you roll a 10 or higher, you describe how the situation goes down. There are still situations where, for example, combat in the system is dangerous. Combat's always dangerous, and it's meant to feel that way much more so in
Mhm.
apocalypse systems. If you engage in combat, unless you are very properly spec'd for it or have abilities, you will be taking damage, and that just is how combat functions. It's reciprocal damage. It's success forward damage. So there is trade of damage at any given time. If you deal harm, you take harm, and that is basically, like, TLDR. That is how the system works, with not much flour on there. There's obviously more mechanics and more ups and downs when you're actually playing or when you're in the system proper, but in and of itself, that is it.
Pretty good. Like, some of these things as you were discussing, I'm like, okay, yeah, that's right, that's right. Because there was, again, just the flexibility with it in being able to like just kind of help the narrative more
Oh yeah, it's
and the
much more
character.
collaborative in
Yeah,
storytelling than a lot of
exactly.
other systems. It's, and which is again why I brought up Daggerheart earlier, is more so than a lot of systems in a similar vein. These systems, which I like to personally call narrative systems, because the focus of these systems is not on combat. Like D&D, for how much people have turned it into a role-playing game, and it is a TTRPG, but it started as a war game. And so D&D has this war game mechanics built into the system. They're made for combat, and the system lends itself really well to combat. People pick combat abilities, they pick combat stats, they pick combat spells, and yes, out of combat can be important and has become more so in recent years. You cannot take combat away from D&D. You
Yeah.
can take combat away from Apocalypse.
Mhm.
Or Daggerheart, even. While they have combat systems built in, the game doesn't rely on it in the same way. You have mechanics to do things outside of combat in equal, if not more so, than you have the ability to do things in combat. And that is something I really, really, really appreciate about these systems, like narrative systems, because the focus is less on player versus GM in a wargame sense, and the focus is more on telling a good story as a group, as friends at a table.
Exactly.
So that's like my big thing with these systems. I love narrative systems for that reason. I take a lot of influence from narrative systems into the way I run D&D, even just because
Mhm.
I don't personally like not having that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, it's just like any tool really to help with the storytelling and the world building. It just and the player experience too. So
I accidentally just pressed the button on my keyboard and accidentally found out that my keyboard has a automatic pause feature.
oh
So I
no.
just paused the music and I was like, "Oh, what?
Like what just
Oh,
happened?
what just happened? Oh,
Oh, oh.
oh." But no, we're all good. We figured it out. It's just, oh.
Okay. Oh, good.
Yeah. Anyways, that is it. So without any further ado and without any more description of the basic stuff, let's get into the Apocalypse PDF proper. We'll start off at top. Aqua, take us away.
All right.
And we can
So
kind of
for
trade back and forth when
this,
describing the playbooks, but I will leave the main stuff, like the main mechanical descriptions, to you.
okay, sounds good. And then there's also I think there's a little bit extra. I think that's in the physical book that isn't in
In the
this
PDF.
PDF.
Awesome. So you can
Yeah.
read
So
off to us. I just have the PDF
yeah.
up for people to kind of visually reference.
Yeah.
And then
And
for,
it's
yeah.
and it's not too much extra. It's just like a few extra little paragraphs, but
Yeah.
just kind of going into the basics of the game. So let's see here. So we've got make sure I've got the right one up. All right. So for the basics of Apocalypse World, nobody remembers how or why. Maybe nobody ever knew. The oldest living survivors have childhood memories of it. Cities burning, society in chaos, then collapse, families set to panicked flight, the weird nights when the smoldering sky made midnight into blood colored half day. Now the world is not what it once was. Look around you. Evidently, certainly not what it was. But also close your eyes. Open your brain. Something is wrong. At the limits of perception, something howling, ever present, full of hate and terror. From this, the world's psychic maelstrom, we none of us have shelter. Setting up to play. Get 3 or more players, including you. Choose one player to be the Master of Ceremonies. Since this is the Master of Ceremonies
I
playbook, that's
forgot
you.
that's what the Master of Ceremony. I forgot that's
Yep,
what the
the
original was
OG.
called. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I'm so used to Secret Keeper, which is what it is in Monster of the Week, but I forgot that
Yeah.
it was called something else back then. That's cool.
Yeah. So it's like Apocalypse World takes quite a few sessions to play. So choose friends with space in their schedules for a commitment. The game really kicks in around the 6 session mark and it can go much longer. And I mean, generally, it can go as short or as long as you want it to, but
I've run
that's at
one
least what the
shots in these
OG.
system. I've run one
Yeah.
shots in these system, and this system is actually very good for one shots
Yes.
because you can tell a really quick, cool story with some very, very like grabbing characters with this kind of thing. Like you can really
Exactly.
it,
Well, and
it
that's
it
why,
lends itself to like movie storytelling, I think is a good way to
yes, yes. I was about to say it's very like I don't know if
cinematic.
modular is the right thing to say, but like it helps you set up stages, you know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I you
and
said
like
modular, I said cinematic, and I think the two of them like describe it together really well.
it's a modular cinematic, basically. But yeah, so at least that's what the OG kind of like system um, sort of paints it as is that you can play a longer game with it, even if it is like pretty basic and easy to play.
I no
Um,
longer have. I used to have on me the physical copies of the Monster of the Week and the Monster of the Week like follow up books, and they actually
mhm.
had like a small section of it was devoted to rules, and like the rules are very important in these games, yeah, but a like half the book straight up was just on how to write a story, how to
Yeah.
tell a story with people, what cinematic setup is, like how to write cinematic setup, how to write a TV show, what TV show tropes are, how to use TV show tropes. And I really loved that there's straight up half a book on just like how to run games.
Yes. Take a look. See, I think there's okay, yeah, there's a little bit more to the basics, and then we can go into the rest of it on the PDF.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, for Apocalypse World, all the character playbooks list the same set of basic moves, plus each playbook lists special moves for just that character. Your threats might list special moves too. When a player says that their character does something listed as a move, that's when they roll, and that's the only time that they do. The rule for moves is to do it, you do it. In order for it to be a move and for the player to roll dice, the character has to do something that counts as that move. And whenever the character does something that counts as a move, it's the move that the player rolls dice for, basically. Um, Usually it's unambiguous, like, damn it, I guess I crawl out of here. I try to keep my head down. I'm doing it under fire. But there are two ways that sometimes don't line up, and it's your job as the MC to deal with. So first, when a player says only that their character makes a move without having the character actually take any action, um, they can go, I go aggro on them and answer them with like, cool, what do you do? It's like I seize the radio by force. And it's like, all right, cool, what do you do? Like I try to fast talk them. Cool, what do you do? So going on in that fashion. Second
Yep.
is when a
Yep.
player has her character take action that counts as a move but doesn't realize it or doesn't intend it to be a move. For
Yeah.
instance, I shove him out of my way. Your answer should then be, cool, you're going aggro? And responding with, I pout. And it's like, well, if you really don't like me, cool, you're trying to manipulate them? Question mark. I squeeze way back between the tractor and the wall so they don't see me. And it's like, cool, you're acting under fire? So you don't ask in order to give the player a chance to decline the roll. You ask in order to give the player a chance to revise their character's action if they really didn't mean to make the move. So it's like, cool, you're going aggro, and then legit. Oh no, no, no. There, if he's really blocking the door though, and I'll go the other way, and then not legit. Well, no, I'm just shoving them out of my way. I don't want to roll for it. The rule for moves is if you do it, you do it. So make with the dice.
Yep. Yeah. And I think I'm gonna be bringing in a lot of my Monster of the Week practice here.
Yeah, yeah.
In that the way it kind of describes it in Monster of the Week for you to do is you have players just describe what they're doing, and whenever they would make an action that interacts with the narrative in some way, that's when you have them roll. So the emphasis, they lean away from the emphasis of players being like, okay, I'm going to use this move, I'm going to use this move, I'm going to use this move, and you have players just describe what it is that they're doing, and they really lean on that second half that you were describing of whenever a player or whenever a player does something that like you as the keeper or the MC feel like requires an action or feel like requires them to do something or has a chance of failure, then you say, okay, that sounds like this move, right? That sounds like this move, right? And it does have different moves, but the moves are very equivocal. For example, the stats in Monster of the Week are also cool. Sharp is also it, and weird are all cool, sharp, and weird exists in Monster of the Week. The differences are hard and hot get
Yeah.
changed to uh tough. Hard gets changed to tough, and hot gets changed to charm.
Well, in this too, it also has HX, which is history,
Yes,
like
yeah,
how
yeah,
well
yeah.
you know someone. So I don't know if that's also in some of the newer um, modules or not, but
Not
I thought
really.
that
It's
was
not
another
something
fun
I'm
thing with
as familiar
storytelling.
with. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, so and then so for at least going back for the basic stuff, it also mentions like going back to how you were talking about like the way that the dice rolls are depending on what you roll. So it's basically saying if your sum total is 6 or less, it's a miss. 7 or more, it's a hit. 7 to 9 is weak. 10 plus is strong. Um,
Yeah, so in
and then
Apocalypse, it actually differentiates it into the hit or miss and then weak or strong, even
yeah,
more so than Monster of the Week, because Monster of the Week has the total success, partial success, failure.
yeah. Um, and then basically they do list what would happen on those hits, like granularly, kind of like what you had already gone over. And so it's like it's easier for people to follow. Um, and sometimes too, like with basic moves, you can just tell players to be prepared for the worst, and then that's it's your turn. And you're gonna have to do some dice rolling. But some of the rules say like take +1 forward or take -1 ongoing while, or like +1 or -1 forward just means that the player adds 1 or subtracts 1 from their next roll. +1 or -1 ongoing means to add 1 or subtract 1 from all of their rolls, and then from now until whenever the bonus or penalty is done. Each of the characters also have a special move that kicks in when they have sex with someone. For most of the characters, the special sex moves apply when they have sex with another player's character, not with
Yeah,
just
yeah, here we
anybody.
are. Now
But
we've
for
hit
a few of them,
Apocalypse.
oh, just anybody will do. So there's certain moves with full descriptions and then basic moves and things like that. But- so yeah, that's another thing. Um,
Forgot about the sex moves in this system.
the smash moves.
Yeah,
Um,
sure.
Yes, but let's see, and then it goes over like the stats. Basically, cool is meaning cool under fire, rational, clear thinking, calm, calculating, unfazed. You roll plus cool to do something under fire.
Oh,
Hard,
interesting. So I'm looking at
yeah.
HX really, really quickly.
Mhm,
HX,
mhm.
you basically decide your connections with the various characters when you're doing that. So like
Yeah.
the other players, you decide what your connection rolls are, and then you roll.
Hmm.
Interesting. You can roll sharp instead of rolling plus. All right, got it. So that's how that functions.
Yeah.
In later editions, this is a roleplay element that's introduced, but it is not a mechanical element. So, like in Monster of
Yeah.
the Week and in like other Apocalypse hacks, there is usually a section in the like session zero, the creation, etc., where there's usually a section in the like creation, etc., where the players will decide how they know each other, or where they met for the first time, or how well they know each other, but there's no mechanical side to that.
Hmm. Let's see here. Okay, and then going over hard. So it's basically meaning hard-hearted, violent, aggressive, strong-willed, mean, physically and emotionally strong. You roll plus hard to go aggro on someone. So that's like all the talk about like, okay, are you going aggro kind of thing? Because if that's
Yeah,
the case, then you're going to use the
go
hard road.
aggro and do battle get changed in Monster of the Week and
Hmm.
shoved together into kick some ass.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. That's fun.
So it is just
I
all
like
kind
that
of
twist.
blanketed under kick some ass. I
Exactly.
also really
Exactly.
like
Ape shit.
yeah, go ape shit.
uh,
I also really
ah,
like the change for the move under cool, because in
yes.
this it's do something under fire. In Monster of the Week it's act under pressure, and I
Yeah.
love act under pressure. Act under pressure, it really that is very clear. Any action that you are taking where there is shit going on around you, that is acting under pressure, and I love that role. I love it because there's so many
Yes.
times where
That
it's
was
like
so fun.
a player wants to do something and you're like, okay, there's a chance for failure. I could see that going wrong, but it's also not something that I like. You're not like it's not like testing physical strength. It's just testing how that works in this moment. I
Yeah.
love that there's a stat for it. Cool is my favorite stat that they have in the game because having a
Hmm.
stat for like for mental fortitude in stressful circumstances, in my opinion, is such an engaging stat. That is
Yes.
such a better version of wisdom. Like, a lot of systems run wisdom. I think cool encapsulates wisdom so much better.
Mhm. Here. Well,
Shit
and like
hits
when
the
we got to
fan.
play, like,
How good are you? Yeah, like, go
oh,
ahead.
okay, okay.
Go ahead. Go
Let's
ahead. You were
see.
saying.
Um, when we were playing Monster of the Week too, I really enjoyed that kind of aspect of it because it was like it didn't click at the time because I hadn't like gone back over the stuff here for Apocalypse World, but it was
Mm-hmm.
just like
Mm-hmm.
it felt familiar, but it was just different verbiage
Yep.
basically.
Yep. Yep. There's a lot of very
Uh,
similar. Like, hot has is changed to charm, and it only has one move under it, but it's just manipulate
hmm
someone. It's just called
Yeah,
manipulate someone,
yeah.
because
But he,
even if you're doing so like for a good reason or in a kind
yeah,
way, or like, I love that it treats, yeah, persuading someone is still manipulating them. You are still trying to convince someone. And so, like, under the description of manipulate someone, it says convince them to do something that they would not otherwise do. And I'm like, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, that is manipulating someone. Like, exactly. If you cannot just convince them with logic. And I like that because it's like, if you can convince someone with logic, they'll just do it. Like, you don't have to roll. They'll just do it. If you're just like, hey, if you don't do this, you'll die. But it also has the mechanic for, like, yeah, if someone wouldn't believe you or any other thing like that, yeah, there you go. You have to manipulate them.
exactly. But here for hot, it means fucking hot, attractive,
It's
subtle,
like, are you
gracious,
set? Are you
sexy.
Sezzy? Sezzzy, Sezzy.
Yes. Yeah. Beautiful, inspiring, exciting. You roll plus hot to seduce or manipulate someone. So they tie those in
Yep, I mean, there's them
together.
sex mechanics coming back.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is very adult gaming. But and then the next one is sharp, meaning sharp-witted, clever, alert, smart, perceptive, educated,
Mm-hmm.
skilled, trained. You roll plus sharp to read a person or read a situation. Pretty basic. Weird, meaning a weirdo, psychic, genius, uncanny, lucky, strange, prophetic, touched. Roll plus weird to open your brain to the world's psychic maelstrom.
Weird
And
and
then the
sharp probably have the biggest changes in Monster of the Week, in that
yeah,
sharp is one of the most mechanically functional stats in Monster of the
hmm
Week because it is used for the main core concept. Monster of the Week is built around
yeah,
investigating a mystery and investigating
right.
monsters. Like, you're doing the Dean and Sam, like, oh, what kind of monster is this? Oh, we got to figure out what it is, how it's attacking, how it's hunting, where it's hiding, that kind of stuff. So sharp is changed into read a bad situation, which I really like. I love that read a bad situation is placed in there, and then investigate a mystery. And those
Yeah.
two are both used for. And actually, read a bad situation might be cool, but I still think it is sharp off the top of my head. Uh,
Mhm.
but they are built around actually, like, engaging with the mechanics, and it has a whole in-depth mechanic for how to ask questions about investigating a mystery, and I really like that they broke that down. I do, however, at the same time, really like that this system has rules for, oh yeah, you're feeling suspicious, you want to read this person, and I have it as read a bad situation. I will have players roll in a similar way, but that is not,
Mhm.
like, technically in the rules in Monster of the Week. That's something I kind of,
Yeah.
like, adjust it in line with the older system in that
Ah,
case. And
gotcha.
so that is
Yeah.
a situation where, like, I actually like how sharp is handled in this. Not like necessarily more, but I do think the two of them complement each other well. Weird in Monster of the Week is way more in depth because there's magic in a, like, Monster of the Week system. Like, in whenever you're dealing with, like, werewolves and stuff, you're gonna have someone wanting to play a witch, or someone wanting to play a warlock, or
Yeah.
someone wanting to play, like, a psychic of some kind. And so there is a lot more mechanical uh meat, I guess, for to say, as far as weird goes. In this,
Mhm.
it is a bit more bare bones.
And then following along after that, that last stat is HX or history. Um, so basically, it's particularly a shared history or how well one character knows another. It doesn't mean how well your character likes the other, just how well your character knows them. So it's also asymmetrical. My character might know yours very well, like history +2, while yours doesn't know mine well at all, which is basically like history -1. You would roll plus history to help or interfere with someone.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. That makes sense.
Yes. Let's see here. And so this is basically the next part under basics goes over just like gear, harm and healing, character improvement, timeline of play, and why to play, um, which I thought is an interesting little tidbit in the book. But then the rest we can just go to the PDF to go over the characters and stuff. Um, so the maximum for any stat is +3. The minimum is -3, and most will be like -1 to +2.
I
Um,
forgot that
mhm.
OG Apocalypse had the like major minuses to stats because a monster of
Yes.
the week, the max you'll have in a negative to stat is a -1. And
Oh, okay.
you
Yeah.
usually get that as in character creation. And you can offset it like by taking a
Mhm.
+1 or something like that. You won't
Yeah.
really get screwed with a minus on your stats really,
Mhm.
which I think is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
This game definitely was part of the era of, yeah, you should fail just as much as you should succeed.
Right. It's like grim and gritty and all that
Mm-hmm.
stuff.
Which,
Uh,
for an apocalypse setting does kind of fit.
yeah, because it's meant to be a little bit more difficult. Um, okay, so and the little notation here says, "Cool -2" means that your cool is -2, basically. I'm like, wait, how's that? Oh, okay, it's just the notation for it. Okay, so that, so it's pretty much straightforward for that. Some
When you make
rules
a
will,
character, yeah,
yeah,
you choose what your stat layout will be, and I think it's that kind of interesting because even the basic stats in this, the lowest you're going to have is a -1. But the reason why it says the lowest you can have is a -3 is because of the way harm works in this system. When life becomes
yeah,
untenable, come back with -1 hard. Is having a -1 to your hard is kind of how you that's like your in Monster of the Week they have a mechanic called luck that
yes,
represents this in a much more direct way. Your hard
yeah.
stat in an interesting way is kind of like your, ah, we have a Ray. A Ray returns to
Welcome.
us.
Bro.
Hello. Really quickly gonna finish the thought, but in in this, the like hard stat is in a weird way kind of like your maximum HP, where if you ever would go down, like if you would ever take full harm and would otherwise die, you can come back with a -1 hard. And if you ever get to -3 and have to choose that again, you are dead permanently. And Monster of the Week makes it a lot clearer, a lot more direct, and a lot more uh, visible, I guess, with the way that they implemented the luck stat.
Well,
But
and that
that,
was
yeah,
also
that's kind of
like
where that comes from.
variable, like boons and sort of flawed mechanics are always fun. But yeah, but welcome, Ray.
Welcome,
Hey.
Ray. How are you? How was your thing?
It
How's
was good.
what were you up to? How is everyone?
Everyone seems to be good. Just a little bit of exercise PT kind of thing with folks. So I was just like, it was on a video call, so I did that. But I am back and ready to talk about tabletop RPGs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we so far have just kind of touched on the basics, compared it a little bit to Monster of the Week, and now we're kind of going through the basic stats.
Cool, cool.
Yeah. And basically just kind of going over what's in the book for it. It's just like a page or two before we go into the PDF. But it's saying here for the notation, some of the stats is that each player highlights 2 of their character stats, one chosen by another player, one chosen by you, the MC.
That's kind of
So
interesting.
since you weren't here, right? So basically, in this system, the DM is called the Master of Ceremony.
Okay.
So that's what MC is referring to. But yeah. But yeah, I totally forgot that was a thing that the MC will choose a stat for your character.
That is kind of interesting, yeah.
And another character gets to choose one of your stats too. So it's like, it's just it makes it really interesting, I think. All right, so then gear and other crap. So all the different character types will come with their own assortment of gear and other crap, including holdings, gangs, gigs, followers, crews, workspaces, weapons, and specialized equipment. Most individualized items of gear or crap get a little list of descriptive tags like Magna, which is a 3 minus harm, close, reload, loud, or followers, which is like fortune +2, surplus, 1 to barter, or augury. Those tags work in 3 different ways. Some of them are straightforward mechanical, like 3 negative harm, fortune +2, surplus, and want. And some note the circumstances under which the thing can be useful, like close and reload. Some will tell you, like the MC, things to say when the character uses the thing, like loud, 1 negative barter, augury, judgment, and savagery. And then when it comes to harm and healing, when a character gets hurt, the player marks segments in the harm countdown clock, mark 1 full segment for each 1 harm, starting with the segment 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock, which was, again, another like very different way of like seeing how you would or keep track of your HP pool in the game, or at least looking at the character sheets once we get to it. I thought it was like, I remember looking at it and being like, wait, what? It's a very interesting way of marking harm on the sheet. But when a character takes harm, it's equal to the harm rating of the weapon, attack, or mishap, minus the armor rating of the character's armor. So this number minus armor is called harm as established. Harm before 6 o'clock heals automatically with time. Harm after 9 o'clock gets worse with time, unless stabilized. So if the player marks a segment at 11 o'clock to 12 o'clock, the character's life has become untenable. When a character's life becomes untenable, the player has to choose how to continue. Death is one option, but there are others. So like, for example, angels are all about healing and stabilizing. And then basically see the harm and healing chapter complete.
Mm-hmm.
See here. And
something
for character
interesting.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, just something interesting while we're touching on moves really quickly is that while there are the basic moves in Apocalypse, Apocalypse also has something called peripheral moves, which don't really exist in a lot of the other hack systems. A lot of the Apocalypse hack systems build these peripheral moves into the basic moves. It just is something that's kind of interesting to note that there's some a little bit more mechanical depth to the actual moves. For example, in a fight, there's like a whole page on different combat moves you can do. Exchanging harm, seizing something by force, assault a secure location, keep hold of something you have, fight your way free, defend someone else from attack. Do single combat with someone, lay down fire, stand overwatch, keep an eye out. You're the bait, you're the cat, you're the mouse. When it's not certain whether you're the cat or the mouse, I think that's a very fun one.
Yeah.
That's fun. So I'm assuming that the bait and the cat and the mouse are specific, like, terminologies in this game?
Yes. When you're the bait, roll plus cool. On a 10 plus, choose 2. On a 7 to 9, choose 1. You draw all your play the way you want into a trap, otherwise they only approach. Your prey doesn't suspect you, otherwise they're wearing an alert. You don't expose yourself to extra risk, otherwise any harm your prey inflicts is +1. So that's what happens when you're the bait. So like it has a little bit of mechanical crunch for like, okay, yeah, I'm kind of wanting to do this thing. The DM does need to keep an eye on the like battle moves and the other sort of moves in order to be like, okay, yeah, that sounds kind of like this. Yeah, that sounds kind of like this. A lot of the later Apocalypse systems kind of hand wave this, or not necessarily hand wave, but they build this into the basic moves rather than having it be a separate thing.
Okay.
Just something I think is interesting. Like it has like several different rule sets. Like for example, it has a whole vehicle set with like boarding a moving vehicle, outdistancing another vehicle, that kind of thing. And those are like, and again, these are periphery moves, or what they're called.
Yeah.
Just
This is
interesting things. I think that has like just a little bit more crunch to it than a lot of the later systems, which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing.
Mm-hmm. Gives it a little flavor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Also, for the next part, it goes over character improvement. A player marks experience, fills in one of the little experience bubbles on the sheet under 3 circumstances in play. First is when you one of your 2 highlighted stats. Second is when your history with someone goes to +4 to -3. Third is when a move tells you to. So it's like, yeah. When a player marks their 5th experience bubble, they improve their character. Toward the back of each playbook are the rules for that character's improvement. You can choose new moves, sometimes get a gang or building or whatever, your stats, things like that. When they approve, they erase all the little experience bubbles and start over at 0. Once a character improves 5 times, as the MC, you'll open new options for them. See Ungiven Future section of the chapter in detail. And then there's just one last
Very similar
bit.
to Monster of the Week. Very, very
Yeah,
similar to Monster of the Week.
And then some little flavor text for why to play, and then we can go on to the characters in the PDF of the builds. Why to play? 1, because the characters are fucking hot. 2, because hot as they are, the characters are best and hottest when you put them together. Lovers, rivals, friends, enemies, blood, and sex. That's the good shit. 3, because the characters are together against a horrific world. They're carving out their little space of hope and freedom in the filth and violence, and they're trying to hold on to it. Do they have it in them? What are they going to have to do to hold it together? Are they prepared, tough enough, strong enough, and willing? 4, because they're together, sure, but they're desperate and they're under a lot of pressure. If there's not enough to go around, and is there ever, who'll stick together and who'll turn on who? Who do you trust and who should you trust? And what if you get it wrong? 5, because there's something really wrong with the world, and I don't know what it is. The world wasn't always like this, blasted and brutal. There wasn't always a psychic maelstrom howling just out of your perception, waiting for you to open your brain so that it can rush in. Who fucked the world up and how? Is there a way back, a way forward? If anybody's going to ever find out, it's you and your characters. That's why. So yeah, I thought it was like nice little flavor text that they added in the handbook for it, the game.
That is pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah. Sort of set the tone. But going over the next part.
Yeah, it gives you like a little bit of a
like a prompt,
a hook or a
setup.
prompt or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I like books that in the like starting book, not like in a separate module or anything, like in the starting book it has like a suggested starting encounter, or like here are some like example session 1s or that kind of thing, so that you can be like, oh, I like that, I'm gonna kind of do a version of that kind of thing. When I was starting out my most recent Monster of the Week campaign, I actually adapted a like base adventure and just like heavily fit it into my setting, that kind of thing. So but like I very, very much focused on it.
Yeah. Cool. What we got here? Okay, so like going over the Apocalypse World, the basic PDF.
Mm-hmm.
figured, do you all want to take turns going over each of the ones, or how do we want to do it?
I like going over each of the ones and taking turns, kind of like how we did with Vagabond. I just
With
really quickly,
Vagabond? Okay.
before we do that, I just
Yeah.
want to talk really quickly about the threat map, which is
Oh,
something
yes,
that
yes.
not a lot of games really implement into anything like this. It's
Yeah.
just a really interesting thing where you start it is literally a physical map.
Yeah.
Um, where your PCs and their resources, that's like where they are, this is where they're holed up, this is where you can make a base for them, etc. And you like mark various resources, and this is how you build a map together. And I just think that's really cool, personally.
Yeah. I totally forgot about that part.
uh
Again,
and it, yeah,
D-Rust.
yep. Anyways, shooting up to the top, Aqua, why don't you start us out?
Okay, so Apocalypse World. Nobody remembers how or why. Maybe nobody ever knew. The oldest living survivors have childhood memories of it, cities burning, society in chaos, then collapse, family set to panicked flight, the weird nights when the smoldering sky made midnight into a blood colored half day. Now the world is not what it was. Look around you. Evidently, certainly not what it was. But also close your eyes. Open your brain. Something is wrong. At the limits of perception, something howling, ever present, full of hate and terror. From this, the world's psychic maelstrom, we none of us have shelter.
Brr, brr, brr.
Dun dun! Alright, the
All right,
angel.
the angel. Aqua, you haven't done a real
You
one
want-
yet. Do
Okay,
this one.
okay,
Huh?
okay. So the angel. Um, when you're lying in the dust of Apocalypse World, guts a-spilled, for whom do you pray? The gods? They're long gone. Your beloved comrades? Fuckers all. Or you wouldn't be here to begin with. Your precious old mother? She's a darling, but she can't put intestine back inside, so it'll stay. No, you pray for some grinning kid or veteran or just someone with a heart shocker and a hand with sutures and a six-pack of morphine. And when that someone comes, that's an angel. So angels are medics. If you want everybody to love you or at least rely on you, play an angel. Warning: if things are going well, maybe nobody will rely on you. Make interesting relationships so you'll stay relevant. Or sabotage things, I guess. All right, Bada Babe next.
Should it be me or you?
Uh,
Which order are we going
Aqua, pass it.
Ray.
in? Okay. The Battle Babe. Even in a place as dangerous as Apocalypse World, Babes are, well, they're the ones you should walk away from, eyes down, but you can't. They're the ones like the seductive blue cracking light, you know? Uh, you you mistake looking at them for falling in love, and you get too close, and it's a zillion volts, and your wings burn off like paper. Dangerous. Battle babes are good in battle, of course, but they're wicked social too. They are wicked. Yeah, they are wicked social too.
There's a lot of
If you want
colloquial
to,
language in this, which can make it like
mm-hmm.
if you're trying to read it technically, it can make it a little hard to read because it's very like conversational. But they're
Yeah,
wicked
yeah,
social too, you know?
yeah. I just didn't get into the vibe just yet.
No, I know.
If you want,
It's just kind of funny.
I like it. I like it. If you want to play somebody dangerous and provocative, play a battle babe. Warning: if you find that you're better at making trouble than getting out of it, if you want to play the baddest ass, play a gun lugger instead. I do like how it gives you suggestions for other things if you're like, ooh, I like this flavor, but, and then so it's like,
And
Yeah.
you can play a gun lugger very much like a battle babe. Like they're not. I actually do like that the image for the gun lugger is also effeminate, not like specifically woman, but like effeminate. So like it isn't like this battle babe gendered, like specifically gendered. But I do like that some of them aren't.
I don't know. I call my guy friends babe sometimes.
I mean,
Right,
I'm
right.
saying you could totally play a masked battle babe. There's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly.
The way that they've set it up, though, is a little generous. I'm gonna be real.
Yeah. How they set it up, but how I'm gonna look at it is completely just neutral.
Reject reality, embrace your own.
Yeah.
The Brainer. Brainers are weird, psychic mind fucks of Apocalypse World. They have brain control, puppet strings, creepy hearts, dead souls, and eyes like broken things. They stand in your peripheral vision and whisper in your head, staring. They clamp lenses over your eyes and read your secrets. They're just the sort of tasteful accoutrement that no well appointed hardhold can do without. Brainers are spooky, weird, and really fun to play. Their moves are powerful but strange. If you want everyone else to be at least a little bit afraid of you, a Brainer is a good choice. Warning: you'll be happy anyway, but you'll be happiest if someone wants to have sex with you even though you're a Brainer. What the fuck? Angle for that if you can. What?
Man, very very focused on sex.
And there's sex mechanics in this. I have to go down to the Brainer thing. I've got to see if there's like, do you get like a benefit for getting railed or something?
small derail. Let's check this out.
It's small derail.
Inquiring minds
I
want to
have to
know.
know, right? This game is so fucking horny.
It's so funny. All right, let's see, where is it, the brain?
Okay, yeah, it does. In-brain puppet. Oh.
Yep.
When you have time and physical intimacy with someone, again, mutual or one-sided, what the fuck? You can plant a command inside their brain. Roll plus weird. On a 10 plus, hold 3. On a 7 to 9, hold 1. At your will, no matter the circumstances, you can spend your hold 1 for inflict 1 harm. They take -1. If they fulfill your command, that counts for all your remaining hold. On a miss, you inflict -1 harm. Oh, what? That's wild.
I
Yeah.
wonder what this is based off of. I'm trying to think of like pop culture references. Like,
I mean, there's a little bit of Mad
Uh.
Max going on in here.
okay.
Like the older Mad Maxes, that there's a little bit of that going on in here. There's also some Thunderdome. I mean,
Well, and
that
there's,
is
like,
yeah, but like, you know.
There's the whole like psychic maelstrom thing with this too.
That is definitely its own thing. I can't think of much that really touches on that.
Yeah.
All right, Aqua, back to you.
Maybe
The
like
Chopper.
oh, what was it? Crap. Oh my gosh, brain fart at the worst time.
Oh no.
It has
We've all been
Neo,
there.
and
We're
it's
talking about Matrix?
the Matrix. Yes, it reminds me in a way a
Yeah,
little
you
bit
know
of that.
what? Yeah, there is a little bit of Matrix going on in here. That is very real. That is very real.
Okay.
Not
A
like
little
quite
bit of
totally,
that.
but just like a touch,
Yeah, no.
a touch of Matrix going on in here.
Yeah. The Matrix, you know, like
yeah.
spritz on there.
The Matrix. That's very funny.
Ode.
Ooh. Lou.
Chopper.
All right. It's a chopper.
Chopper. Monkey D. Chopper.
Monkey Luffy.
Trafalgar D. Chopper.
Apocalypse World is all scarcity. Of course it is. There's not enough wholesome food, not enough untainted water, not enough security, not enough light, not enough electricity, not enough children, not enough hope. However, the Golden Age past did leave us two things: enough gasoline, enough bullets. Come the end, I guess the fuckers didn't need them like they thought they would. So Chopper, there you are, enough for you. Choppers lead biker gangs. They're powerful, but lots of their power is external in their gang. If you want weight to throw around, play a chopper. But if you want to be a really in charge, play a hard holder instead. Warning: externalizing your power means drama. Expect drama.
I mean, yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Driver. I love this one. This is probably if I were to play Apocalypse, I'd probably fuck with a driver. I love drivers.
Well, go ahead and read that one off, and I'll get the next one. I'll get the gun.
Oh yeah, the gun loader. And that ties into the other thing you going over.
Oh, yeah, you know what? It
Exactly.
does
Yeah.
actually kind of tie. That does work. I will take this one then. Came
Yeah.
the apocalypse, and the infrastructure of the Golden Age tore apart. Roads heaved and split, lines of life and communication shattered, cities cut off from one another raged like smashed anthills, then burned, then fell. A few living still remember it. Every horizon scorching hot with civilization in flames. Light to put out the stars and moon, smoke to put out the sun. In Apocalypse World, the horizons are dark and no roads go to them. Drivers have cars, meaning mobility, freedom, and places to go. If you can't see the post apocalypse without cars, you gotta be a driver. Warning: your loose ties can accidentally keep you out of the action. Commit to the other characters to stay in play.
Interesting.
It has probably one of the loosest descriptions, but I know how drivers function in settings like this, and I
Yeah.
love that kind of shit. The
Right.
if I were to do
Too
this,
Fast, Too Furious.
Too Fast, Too Furious, Mad Max, but if I were to do this, I would absolutely take all of the good parts of Baby Driver and play that without Kevin Spacey. Like with the music and the fucking bumping and yeah. Yep.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
Hell yeah. All right.
All right. So good
The
luck. Take it away.
Gunlugger. Gunlugger. Apocalypse World is a mean, ugly, violent place. Law and society have broken down completely. What's yours is yours only, while you hold it in your hands. There's no peace. There's no stability, but what you crave, inch by inch, out of the concrete and dirt, and then defeat with murder and blood. Sometimes the obvious move is the right one. Gunslingers are the baddest asses. Their moves are simple, direct, and violent, crude even. If you want to, take no shit, play a gunlugger. Warning: like angels, if things are going well, you might be kicking your heels. Interesting relationships can keep you in this scene.
Hard holder.
They're
This
the
makes
baddest
sense.
asses.
They are the baddest. I mean, Gunlugger, it's pretty much what it is. You are
Yeah.
like if you've seen the most recent or not Apocalypse, you've seen the recent Fallout show, I would absolutely label
to.
no spoilers, but I would absolutely label the ghoul as a Gunlugger. Like that is absolutely what they are. Like Gunlugger
Nice.
is the dead eye of this game. You are the fucking, like, this is like the Lone Ranger, the cowboy, the badass with the gun. This is everything you, if you want to
Full
be
of grit and spit.
grit and spit, blood and iron. That is the Gunlugger.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Hard
All right.
holder makes sense for you to read, Aqua, since you are in charge today.
All right. The hard holder. There is no government, no society. In Apocalypse World, when hard holders ruled whole continents, when they waged war on the other side of the world instead of with the hold across the burn flat, when their armies numbered in the hundreds of thousands and they had fucking boats to hold their fucking airplanes on, that was the golden age of legend. Now, anyone with a concrete compound and a gang of gunluggers can claim the title. You got something to say about it? Hardholders are landlords, warlords, governors of their own little strongholds. If anybody plays a hardholder, the game's going to have a serious and immobile home base. If you want to be the one who owns it, it better be you. Warning: don't be a hardholder unless you want the burdens.
Yeah, I personally, so this is something a lot of GMs lean away
Burdens.
from.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
personally lean into. I think relationship and power dynamics between party members, as long as everybody's on the up and up, as long as all the players are cool with it and like you communicate it, I think it is easily some of the most interesting stuff that you can have in a game. Having someone
Yes.
be like a captain of a ship, or having someone be the like a hard holder leader of a compound, that kind of thing, and actually focusing on that person as a player is so interesting. And having those interactions with the people around them and the other people who are like important in their society, that is so interesting and so cool. And as long as the person playing that doesn't try to swing social weight around with it, it can create some of the best storytelling.
Yeah.
Hell
Oh
yeah.
God. Like I I don't remember exactly how we went about it, but like later on in the original campaign that I got to play this game with, I was a medic. I was an angel. But towards the end, I somehow managed to acquire a medical compound as my base.
So I
And that was really
I've
cool.
I've checked out this the playbooks a little bit, and if you look, just like in Monster of the Week, some of the improvements are get a move from another playbook. So if you're playing an
Yes.
angel, you can take moves from Hardholder, and so I imagine you maybe took one of the moves from Hardholder that allows you to get a holding or whatever. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Exactly.
Hell
So
yeah.
like I bet that's kind of what happened there. And I think that's pretty cool, especially like developing into that partway through the game.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really cool way of
Yeah.
doing that.
And there's like lots of room for growth for your character in that regard too. Keep it organic.
All right, the Hocus, Ray, back to you.
Oh.
Ah, yes. The Hocus. Now it should be crystal fucking obvious that the gods have abandoned Apocalypse World.
Love
Uh,
language.
Crystal
maybe
fucking
in
obvious.
crystal fucking obvious. It's like, oh, you're not gonna use clear, cool.
You're not gonna. It should be
I
obvious. You're not
missed
gonna
my
use
puns.
Yeah, you're not gonna use crystal clear. You're not gonna use fucking obvious. You're gonna use crystal fucking obvious.
This is horny game. We gotta use the word
We
fucking
gotta
in
say
it.
fucking here,
You gotta say
guys.
fucking.
Yeah, real
You just gotta.
fucking. You so you know
Fucking
fucking
forgotten,
like
you know.
fucking
I'm
like.
fucking. I'm fucking hocus pocus in here.
Hey, I'm fucking hocus pocus in over here.
Sorry, go ahead, Ray.
Maybe in the
Oh,
golden age with its one nation under God and it's in God we trust. Maybe when then the gods were real. Fuck if I know. All I know is that now they're gone. Daddy's gone. My my theory is that these weird hocus fuckers, when they say the gods, what they really mean is the miasma left over from the explosion of psychic hate and desperation that gave Apocalypse World its birth. Friends, that's our creator now. Hokas have cult followers. The way choppers have gangs. Um, they're strange social public and uh, com- compelling. If you want to sway mobs, play a hocus. Warning. Things are going to come looking for you. Being a cult leader means having to deal with your fucking cult.
That's amazing. Also, there are aspects to this game that are heavily Fallout inspired, but it's like someone
hmm
really was like, I really want Fallout, but with like Jedi. You know what I mean? Like,
right,
it's like I
exactly.
want to turn the
Yeah,
radiation from Fallout into like psychic energy. Someone
yeah.
someone someone who's a big fan of psionics from 3.5 played Fallout and was like, I'm gonna do that.
I'm gonna do that. Give me that.
Give me that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna play the whole thing. All right, Maestro D.
Yeah.
In the golden age of legend, there was a guy named Maestro. He was known for dressing up real dap, and wherever he went, the people had a much Lux tune. There was this other guy named Mater D. He was known for dressing up real dap, and wherever he went, the people had food all day. They had all the food they could eat and the fanciest of it. Here in Apocalypse World, those two guys are dead. They died, and the fat sizzled off of them. They died the same. They died same as much. Oh my god, I got it. This is them fucking with the writing here. They died. Same as Much Lux Tune and All You Can Eat. Got it. The Maestro D now, he can't give you what those guys could. But fuck it. He'll find you a little something to take off the edge. The Maestro D runs a social establishment, like a bar, a drug den, or a bordello. If you want to be sexier than a hard holder with fewer obligations and less shit to deal with, play Maestro D. Warning, fewer obligations and less shit, not none and none. I have changed my mind. I will be playing this.
They've convinced you with their wordiness.
A little something there.
Oh, something, you know, something takes the edge out, you know, mate.
You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
I want to be, and like I absolutely would take later moves from driver. I want to drive around in a little fucking van, like a like with the hippie outfit on and the big glasses, and I want to be growing pot in the back.
There you
Hell
go.
Yeah.
I want to run the apocalypse equivalent of a weed food truck.
There you go. Oh my god.
What would it be called?
That'd be awesome.
Would it just be called
Take and
Blaze It?
Bake. Take and Bake.
Oh, there you go.
But it has to be horny. I'm joking.
Fucking bake.
Oh no, I was just saying glaze. You can go
Glazed.
Bake.
Oh,
Get glazed.
glazed donuts. No, sorry.
Fill my mouth with cream. Wait, what? Savvy head.
A savvy head. I'm sure that if there's one fucking thing you can count on in Apocalypse World, it's things break. Savvy heads are techies. They have really cool abilities in the form of their workspace and a couple of fun reality bending moves. Play a savvy head if you want to be powerful and useful as an ally, but maybe not the leader yourself. Warning, your workspace depends on resources and lots of them, so make friends with everyone you can.
I think it would be really cool to play a game with someone playing a hard holder and like everyone else playing like different members of like
the
higher up
that.
members of the community.
Yeah.
Like the Maestro D being like the person who runs the local like food establishment, the Savvy Head being the person who runs the local like chop shop, etc. And they're just trying to keep this establishment from falling to pieces. Like I think that sounds like a really fun hook for a game.
Right.
Like almost like an apocalyptic like mobile train or like
Ooh, yeah,
bus
that would be
setting,
kind of
like
cool.
large bus
yeah,
setting,
yeah.
like a little bit of
A
Mad Max in there.
caravan going on.
Yeah, very caravan-y, where it's just like, okay, we have established caravan stuff.
Yeah, and you have the person, the techie is the straight up mechanic, and like, yeah, that would be very cool.
And you're just trying to keep it running and help folks where you can, and stay away from people who just want to like just strip your house down.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Skinner, all on you, Ray.
Oh, I see. Skinner. Even in the filth of Apocalypse World, I'm actually gonna zoom in just a pinch more, just to let my eyes actually read words better. Even in the filth of Apocalypse World, there's food that isn't dead on
Death on a spit.
Death on a spit. Music that isn't shrieking hyenas. Thoughts that aren't afraid bodies that aren't using meat. Sex that isn't rutting.
Rutting is a term. Rutting is a term for like
like being in heat.
mating, basically.
Yeah.
Like when a
Okay.
deer is in rut, it is just looking for a mate. It is a really, really base term for sex, in the sense that sex
Yeah.
is carnal, basically. Sex,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
So like, isn't boring.
So yeah, so this is kind of saying, like, there's a even in this, like, nasty apocalypse world, there's food that's good, there's music that is pleasant, there thoughts that aren't terrible, bodies that aren't beat up, sex that isn't just carnal, and dancing that is fun. Like, that's another way of phrasing the things that are said
Yeah.
here.
Dancing that's real. There are moments that are more than s-
Stench.
Stench, smoke,
stench. Okay.
yeah.
Sorry, my
No,
dyslexia
It's
came.
okay.
you're all good. Dyslexia is very real. I want you to know, Ray, I never expect you to read anything, and if you ever want to tap out just because, this is not like a, like, patting myself on the back. I have a lot of practice sight reading. Like, I literally have done it for work. So, like, if you ever want to tap out and you're getting frustrated, feel free.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I'm not getting frustrated yet. There are moments that are more than stench, smoke, rage, and blood. Anything beautiful left in this ugly ass world, Skinners hold it. Will they share it with you? What do you offer them? Skinners are pure hot. They're entirely social, and they have great direct manipulative moves. Play a Skinner if you want to be under
Unignorable.
unignorable. Warning: Skinners have the tools, but unlike handholders, choppers, oh my god, and hocus pocuses, they don't have a steady influx of motivation. You'll have the most fun if you can roll your own. Okay.
Roll your
Yeah.
own. That is a really weird phrasing. Roll your own is a old slang term for like, rolling someone is manipulating someone, or getting someone to do what you want, or taking advantage of someone in some way, and your own refers to the people that you are with. So you will have the most fun if you are manipulating those that you're playing with. Is what that
Mhm.
actually means.
Okay. Are we
Uh,
reading the extended playbook, by
we
the
So
way?
are
I
going to
was
be
just about
reading,
to
yeah.
say yes.
Let's go into the extended playbook. Aqua, you give us the intro, and I'll start off with the faceless.
Okay, sounds good. So extended playbook. So these playbooks extend Apocalypse World in various different ways. Some make assertions about the past or future of Apocalypse World, some about the nature of its people or environment. If they aren't in play, don't consider their ideas binding. MC, before play begins, it's your job to decide which of these extended playbooks, if any, are on the table. Once play is underway, it's your job to decide which, if any, are available for get a move from another playbook or change your character to a new playbook.
The
All right, go ahead.
faceless. Uh, is it true everywhere, always? Was it true in the golden age of legend, when life was kind? For certain it's true here in the apocalypse world. Some of us are born and grow up and live without faces. We have things on the front of our heads, of course, but they're soft, malleable, expressive, revealing things. They aren't our faces. Our faces would be hard, unforgiving, silent, and stern. That would be what we are. They would never flinch. I'm gonna
Hmm.
add, like, a little flavor, because these don't have the same, like, little flavor bit at the
Yeah.
end. I'm gonna add what I think these are kind of referring to. The faceless are the groups of people in apocalypse settings that operate under a sort of unified goal, idea, or concept, kind of like a cult, but there is a maliciousness built into it. Faceless tends to imply a certain level of both anonymity and impersonality. I think of, honestly, if you're familiar with Gateway, Apex is a really good example of faceless, because they aren't the person underneath, they are the thing that they have created on the outside. And I think if you're familiar with things like Firefly, the
Yeah.
Reavers is a good
Yes.
example of faceless.
Hell yeah.
If you're
I
familiar
was
with Borderlands, the Psychos are a good example of faceless.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of the mindset I kind of get from these. It's there's this certain uh like cult of personality that's
It's
going
like
on.
very ruthless, very like
Yeah,
almost berserk,
brutal, violent.
savage.
I don't like
Like,
that term because there's a lot of implications that come with that term, but I do think that it, as far as how a lot of white people use it, it is correct.
mm, such
Uh,
as
Quarantine.
Quarantine. It's It's possible, when the golden age of legend fell, that no one saw it coming. It's possible that it came upon themselves unprepared and unsuspecting. Maybe they, like we, were simply fucked. It's also possible that they knew.
Vault dwellers.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Like people who society, you're from a society that somehow avoided the
yeah.
brunt of the apocalypse. And I think that in and of itself describes it. I think that's really interesting. I do not think any setting that this would, I don't think there's any apocalypse setting that this wouldn't add to a narrative around. I think Quarantine's
Yeah.
very cool.
Like in the looking a little bit further in real quick. So under their past, it says you were there when the world ended, but you've been in stasis for 50 years, and your memory is only slowly returning.
Oh, down here on the thing they have the little things. When you like down on the actual page, they have the little things that are so if you go back to the original one, it has the little like description. The Maestro D runs a social establishment, that kind of thing, etc. In this, they're just at the top of the individual playbook. So faceless is, oh no, it just says the same thing. Weird. Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
Very interesting.
But it does have the past there. Do these have past?
Not, I think it depends on what they
No.
are. Everyone's
Yeah, got it, got it,
different.
got it, got it. But yeah, the
Everyone's unique,
faceless
yeah.
does have, yeah, the faceless doesn't have a past thing. However, the yeah, you were right, the quarantine does. So you
But
go
it
ahead
does
and
have your
continue.
mask,
It does
which is
have the
like
mask,
basically the
which is interesting.
suggestions of
Yeah,
like
yeah,
what
yeah.
you might have. So that's what the past probably is like suggestions on like how you were quarantined.
Oh, I do like unmasked though, like where you have to choose things that are happen to you if you're unmasked and you draw your mask.
Yes.
That this is not optional.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. Anyways,
Yeah, no,
sorry
I
to
love
cut
it.
you off, Aqua. Please read the past section from Quarantine.
Oh no, that was basically it. I figured we can go into more detail once
Yeah,
we
yeah,
finish
fair
going
enough,
through
fair enough, fair
each.
enough. In that case, Aqua, why don't you take us
The
away with
water,
water
the water
bear? A
bear.
water bear?
Yes. um, let's see. Every once in a while, there's a place worth being, even in Apocalypse World. And if you're in that place, sometimes you wind up becoming more than you were. You're not about the grasping, gasping, thirsty mess of the world. You're not afraid of the howling wolves, and you could give a damn about what October wants or who T-Bone is fucking. You have the source, and it can quench any thirst they have.
Heck
Interesting.
yeah.
Yeah.
I actually kind of like this one. I don't think there's much to go to it. It's you are in charge of the water. You have
Of
access to
water, yeah.
water. You know where the water is. You know how to get the water, and no one will fuck with you.
Exactly. Alright, and then the
Child
next
thing. We are
page.
coming. We are the future. We are what you made. Children of the Corn.
Children of the Corn.
Oh no.
Or I think another good example is I would fully argue that the super mutants from Fallout are another good example of child things because a lot of super mutants were young when it happened to them and they were made by that whole thing happening. So there is, in my personal opinion, I think that the super mutants are a really good example of something that was made by the apocalypse. And that's always that's how I at least read Child Thing, is it's not necessarily a kid, though they do have childlike aspects to them because they are, you know, they have not been raised societally in the same way that we would kind of expect or assume. They are just
They were
something that is a
repressed.
result. Yet they were born and raised in this. I think there's a lot of variety you can have with that.
Yeah.
For reading's sake, Aqua, why don't you take news, and that
Yeah.
way we can just leave the show for Ray.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Make it easier. I was thinking that too. All right, so the news. It's all bullshit. The lies Dremmer tells his people to keep them fighting, the Hunger Prophet and her salvation, the Brainers and their brain fuckery. But not you. You know what's what. And when Kryn starts a war with Wire, you know it. When some asshole shoots up that hole to the east, you know it. When some crazy ass seer is gathering an army in the rag wastes, you know it. You know it and you say it. Bring the truth, no matter who lies it, trays, and no matter how bad it hurts. Can't stop the signal.
Yeah,
You know?
I love this one. This one's great.
I like a knower,
A truther.
a
Yeah.
truther. Oh man, very what is that dude from like fucking Watchmen? Just like Rorschach kind of.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Just like, I will
Rorschach. Yeah.
Just like, I will reveal
Oh,
you. You will have
I
to kill me to stop me. I will tell everybody.
yeah.
I will snitch.
We'll go over it once we go over their actual sheets, but I like that they have something called the good fight. When you
Mm-hmm.
talk passionately with another player's character about your plans, the future, or how fucked up things are, roll plus hot.
Yeah, you're fighting the good fight.
Hell
That is
yeah.
very funny
Oh,
because it's
that's so
literally
funny.
like, please, bouncing boobily, please listen to me.
Woo woo XD.
Ooh,
Oh my
XD.
gosh.
The show.
The
Yes.
show.
Yeah.
It's like an ancient prophet said, "You are the show. If you don't make the gig is fucking nowhere."
Short and sweet.
Very
Let's
short
see.
and sweet. I'm trying to think of exactly what this is, and I
I
don't know why. The image is screaming crow, and if you know what that is,
Yeah, I do know
talk
what
to me.
that is. I did scroll down. This is the power armor wielder.
Okay.
Yeah, looking at it.
This is the I have a big fuck
They're
off
leashed.
thing. Yeah, I have a big fuck off thing, and it scares the bejesus out of the people around me. I like
Yeah.
it is the term for show. It's the showstopper.
Yeah.
That's what it's short for. The
That screams
showstopper.
crow to me so much.
Yeah, Crow
The
very much has
movie.
his showstopper energy. Yes.
Basically.
Yeah, it's just like his whole vibe is just like, I'm gonna do flips and shit and kill everybody with knives and stuff. So it's
But
just like,
like, yeah, I think
very
it's interesting.
theatrical almost.
Your rig, choose 3. You have a vehicle, you have a gigantic armored war vehicle. You can strip your rig down to a version that you can carry as a backpack when you play your instrument. So it literally does have instrument in that, like, you play music.
Ah.
Oh my god! This is the
What?
guy from Mad Max with the flamethrower guitar.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes. Exactly.
Hell yeah.
This is
Hell
the dude with the
Yeah.
That shit was so cool. Okay, I get it now. This is rad.
Vibes.
When you play
Very
fucking
vibes.
Dead Souls Stop Their Groaning to Listen.
Yeah.
That is
There's
awesome.
basically always some number of people around who want Eagly to have sex with me. Whenever you feel like it, ask the MC who they are this time.
That's so funny. It's the apocalypse bard.
It is. It really is. And
That is
they're so
awesome.
spoony. They brought the big spoon.
That's
brought the
Oh
big
my God.
spoon.
funny.
Yeah. Oh my God. Oh god. Yeah, I've missed this. I've missed this.
What do you
I
play?
forgot
It
about
gives
this.
people sensitive to the world's psychic maelstrom nosebleeds.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
When you play, water freezes and your skin and instrument frost over. When you play, you feel the air from horizon to horizon, and people miles away feel the earth rumble.
Very
When you,
jet
oh yeah,
black.
here it is. When you play, your instrument shoots fire to harm, messy loud.
Nice.
Messy loud. Wow. What was that game that fucking Jet Black actually voiced in?
Oh, I don't know.
What was it called? Hold on. Game Jack Black.
Are you talking about Twisted Metal?
Brutal Legend.
Brutal Legend. Okay.
Oh my god. Sorry, I played a little bit of this as a kid. I thought it was so fucking funny and cool. I'm just gonna show a screenshot of
I
it.
just want to point out, there's a section in here. You have musicians who play with you. Circle
funny.
Summer, all of them. Dustwitch, Harridan, Jesus Christ, Litz, Rolf Ball, Ambiki, Psy, X many faceless backups.
That's so funny.
Oh my god.
Just
I'm
says
being
it
brutal
literally.
so fucking much. What the
It
fuck?
literally
Sorry.
just says Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That's
Just
so
When
funny.
you play the ancient death satellites that still orbit the Earth stir in their sleep. This is the cool. I'm not gonna play it, but this is the coolest fucking class I've ever seen.
I could see Connor for some reason.
If Connor
I
didn't
don't
play
know.
this, I would be extremely disappointed.
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness.
What the hell?
Oh my god.
I love that you can have a gigantic armored war vehicle with it.
Right.
Your
my
rig,
God.
choose 3. This is amazing. Like that the
Yeah.
choosing 3 on your rig, that is amazing. 100% S tier right here.
Nice. Nice. Yes. That's the stuff. Oh my god.
I'm sorry, I keep posting screenshots of like this game. It's just like this is just screaming this game. Like
Basically. Basically.
Absolutely. Hold up. I'm gonna bring up some pictures for people who want to view it. Open in browser. Here you go, everyone.
Oh.
Brutal Legend. A Tim
It is such a
Schafer game.
Oh, it's
my
such a
God.
stupid game, but I love it to bits.
It really does have the energy of that. That's so funny.
Oh my god.
It's like you get a vehicle, you get groupies that help you like it's basically like a mixture of like tactical like tower like attacking game mixed with like a little bit of combat smashing and
It's
just
kind of wild.
it's a
Yeah.
wild game.
That's funny.
It's so goofy and it's so funny and it knows what it is.
I'm gonna really quickly call a quick bathroom break,
Yeah, sounds
and take us to a quick break for a second to stretch legs, go to the restroom, grab a snack if anyone needs it, and for everyone watching, we will be back here in a couple minutes. Thank you for checking out this game with us.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice try, lady, or whatever you are. I'm supposed to think you're a nun, but I know you're really some kind of big, ugly demon, so let's have it. Aha! I knew it! Big, ugly demon. Kind of sexy, though, in a weird way.
Headphones, mic aux. Returning shortly. Off. We return.
Howdy, howdy, howdy.
Howdy, howdy, howdy. Welcome back.
Hello.
Hello. All right, Aqua, what's the plan now? What are we doing?
All right,
next?
so next I figured we'd go over real quick the next part in the basic basic rules and stuff, and then we can go over each of the individual builds and their kits.
Yeah.
Let's see here. So for the and this part is just mostly a page just listing the different moves and like rules and stuff, like just the verbiage for them. But for the basic and peripheral moves, you've got your basic moves, which are do something under fire, go aggro on someone, succor someone, do battle, seduce or manipulate someone, help or interfere with someone, read a situation, read a person, open your brain to the world's psychic maelstrom, lifestyle and gigs, session end. There's harm and healing moves, barter moves, insight, augury, and then changing highlighted stats. Let's see here. For the character move reference, character move index, character moves by stat, cool moves, hard moves, hot moves, sharp, weird, no stat moves, and then character move listings. Then the battle moves and selected rules. We have for the battle ones, exchanging harm, seize by force, single combat, tactical and support moves, subterfuge moves, road war moves, creating vehicles, harm, or basically harm to vehicles, exchanging harm, degrees of harm, and then when an NPC takes harm, using a gang as a weapon when gangs take harm. And then when using a vehicle, it's basically when vehicles take harm, and then V harm, and then when a building takes harm. So you can damage buildings and structures as well. And then for the MC, the Master of Ceremony, first session, threat map, kinds of threats, threat sheets, lifestyle gigs, creating vehicles, D harm. I don't know what that one harm is, and then S harm. And those are basically things that the MC will choose. Let's see, and then going into, do we want to just trade off, or how do we want to do the sheets? I think we could probably just, well, because I don't want to force Ray to go over everything.
And that's super fair.
You're
Just really quickly, D harm is a deprivation harm. So if you are D harm air, warmth, cool, water, food, sleep, etc. So like if you are asphyxiating, it's D harm air. If you're freezing, it's D harm warmth. If you're like boiling, it's D harm cool. And then if you're, suffering from dehydration, deharm water, starvation, deharm food, and if you have not been able to sleep, there's actually deharm sleep in here.
Okay, so where on the character sheet would you put this? This D harm.
D-harm, so you don't actually need to. This is something for the
The MC.
MC. So it's
Okay.
basically rules for asphyxiation, difficulty breathing, panic, convulsions, paralysis, unconsciousness, brain damage, death within minutes. So if this would happen, if there's a situation where that would happen to one of the players, you would have them roll or do something, and rather than taking physical damage, you have them take D-harm. So you would give them one of the effects given here in increasing numbers. So you would start off with difficulty breathing, then give them panic, convulsions, paralysis, unconsciousness, brain damage, death within minutes. That kind of thing. So it's basically like quick tag rules on how to handle these different situations.
Gotcha. Okay.
Really quickly want to check something.
Oh, okay, yeah,
there
I see it
is
here now. It's in the
yeah,
book.
there is another one in this. I think it's called Psyharm, and I think Psyharm refers to psychic energy. A person suffers Psyharm from from exposure to the world's psychic maelstrom. I had to double check that was the Greek Psy. I was pretty sure it was.
Yeah, I couldn't remember what term was for that symbol. I was like, I don't want to
that
just
is
like
the Greek
pull it up my ass.
Psi is what that is.
Okay.
I thought so, but I did want to double check. I could tell it was the Greek lettering because I'm Greek, but like I don't know the Greek like alphabet off the top of my head without looking it up. I was not raised that Greek. My grandfather was. I was not. For
Yeah.
player characters, Psyharm, so it gives you ideas on how to handle Psyharm for players, and then S-harm is the last type of like special harm, which
it's
being
like stun.
Where you're not causing regular harm, you just cause someone is stunned. So if someone fails and they're fighting someone with say a taser, you might give them S-harm instead of causing actual harm, and they're just stunned.
And then also on D-harm, like because it's deprivation, there's different types as well.
Yeah, the air, warmth, cool,
air,
water,
warmth, cool,
yep,
all that stuff.
Gotcha.
But yes.
So yeah, that is basically how those major harms works. It has the character moves are all very specific, but it has a big. I actually do like this as a big list of them. So if you are wanting to take one from another class, you don't have to dig through the other classes. You can just scroll through and see what they do.
I think unless like something really sticks out with like if we're going to read through the character sheets, I think like I'm sure you guys already went through what cool, hard, hot, sharp, and weird and harm all do.
Yeah, we don't have to do those. I was thinking more of just the specific.
I actually thought of a cool idea, Aqua. Let me know if you think of this, but I think we should go through and not like go through each thing on each sheet individually, but we should stop on each character sheet. Each one of us picks a move or something about each playbook that we want to highlight. And then we move on to another. That way we're not like stuck for hours on each one. Because they're quite deep, and I want people to also, if they look at this and they go, oh, I kind of want to check that out, I want them to be able to like look through and experience the, oh, it does this, that's really cool. For themselves. So I think going through and just highlighting something that you think is specifically interesting about this one. And we'll start.
I think that we should read off the special though, like the
yes,
very, like,
yeah.
So,
we can read that.
Definitely read off those, but other than that, definitely like.
I mean, and to be fair, just so everyone's aware, the special is the sex move for everyone. the special, and I do think we should do it because this game is horny and that's a part of the game. But just be aware, we've gone through all the basic moves for everyone. When we read the special, it is this class's specific sex move, and then after that we will pick 3 things, one from each of us, that we think is interesting. In that case, Aqua, take us away with the Angels special.
Okay, for the Angel special. If you and another character have sex, your history with them on your sheet goes immediately to +3, and they immediately get +1 to their history with you on their sheet. If that brings their history with you to +4, they reset it to +1 instead, as usual, and so mark experience.
Interesting. That's actually pretty cool.
Hmm.
I like that. That's an interesting mechanic, and the idea that I think the idea is to actually help characters roleplay. And to be fair,
Yeah.
and like while we are joking about all of this horny game, a lot of games actually don't approach sex, and I don't necessarily think approaching sex mechanically is always the best idea, or is necessarily good, but I do think it is interesting that this game actually really thought to be like, yeah, sex matters, especially in a post-apocalyptic world, and
You're gonna
like
say a Pokemon.
a Pokemon world. I mean that too.
It's a little
Oh,
putty bag.
oh yeah,
Oh,
I haven't done my Smasher Pass yet, so maybe we'll be doing that.
no.
There's no laws against Pokemon, Batman.
There's no laws against Pokemon, Batman.
Oh no.
Alrighty. I will come back around to you, Aqua. I think that's a good way to do
all
it.
good.
And I something I actually want to highlight isn't in their moves. It's in their kit specifically. I think that it's really cool that there is a time mechanic
Yes.
revolved around their healing. When you try to heal someone past a certain hour, there's
Yes.
there's mechanics for it. I think that's really interesting. Like, I genuinely think that's really interesting, and there's a weird amount of depth to it, and I like that they actually added a bit of depth to the healing mechanics, because most games are someone is hurt, you roll a dice, you heal them. Like, even in some of the most complex games I've ever played, like, that is basically how healing works. And I do like that there's actual like depth to when you choose to do it. That's something I just wanted to like point out. There's like benefits and negatives for doing it at different times in different places.
Yes.
Interesting. Let's see. Wait, what? Sorry, I was looking at the infirmary and I just saw drug lab and I was like, huh.
Well, I guess that's what we're pointing out.
Yep.
That's what I'm pointing. That's my point out, I guess. Where it's
Yeah.
just like,
Infirmary. You get an infirmary, a workplace with life support, a drug lab, and a crew of 2, Shigusa and Mox, maybe. Something I do like is they do have suggested names for if you're like, oh yeah, this thing might give you some like NPCs. Here's some names if you don't want to think of any.
hell yeah. That's
Get
your
patients
ambulance
into it,
crew.
and you can work on them like a savvy head on tech. So it gives you, and this is kind of what I meant by locations, where like I was talking about the benefits of timing, but if you also have an infirmary, you actually have like doctor's hours, basically, where like if you treat people in your infirmary during your on hours, you are the most effective at it. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah. I think that's really, really interesting. Because, like, yeah, like, basically, I think of, like, you have somehow gotten, like, if you're doing, like, Angel with, like, Driver, you are basically someone who jerry-rigged an infirmary truck with your 2 buddies.
Yeah.
Go around and pick up people and still
Fucking,
flee the
I'm
scene.
imagining a lifted EMT van with like off-road wheels.
Mm-hmm. And what about you, Aqua?
Yeah, what do you want to point out from the Angel?
Well, for the angel one, I always thought it was for the part of the time thing was like when you revive someone whose life has become untenable,
Mm-hmm.
you get to choose basically how they come back. So like when you spend your stock, they come back, but you get to choose how they come back. So choose from the regular when life is untenable list, or choose one of the following. They come back in your deep debt. They come back with a prosthetic, which you can detail, and then you and they both come back with +1 weird.
That is actually very cool. That is actually genuinely really cool that you
Yeah.
like
That's neat.
having influence over someone else's because you're the one like healing. That's very cool.
Yeah.
That is very
and then
cool.
and then that then affects the rest of the gameplay basically, because you're their character's been altered in that regard.
Yeah, and I think that's also just in the Angel kit. I was pointing out the speed of recovery and the time period of etc. But that is also a very important mechanic, and I do think that's cool to point out. Having extra options to return to life is huge.
Yes.
All right.
Agreed.
Battle Babe.
Next.
Battle Babe special. If you and another... Oh, you go ahead. Yeah, because you did this one. I like that. We'll do it based on who read it last time.
Yeah. If you and another character have sex, nullify the other character's sex move. Whatever it is, it just doesn't happen.
So if the angel if the angel and the Battle Babe have sex, the angel does not get closer to the Battle Babe. There's no closeness. There's no intimacy.
Yeah, no,
like,
no.
Nothing.
Cold. They don't care about
ice cold. Damn. I mean, literally one of their moves is literally ice cold. Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah. When you go aggro on a NPC, roll plus cool instead of roll plus hard. When you go aggro on another player's, roll plus history instead of plus hard.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you can, like, fucking dump stat your hard and still be a badass.
Hell yeah.
My brain is thinking bad things. Don't mind me.
You're not hard. You gotta get hard.
You gotta dump your hard, you know?
You gotta dump your hard. You gotta pump your hard into someone.
Wait. I can see more and more.
Something I want to point out about the Battle Babe is they get to customize firearms, which I believe it's something that only them and the Gunlugger get to do. But the Gunlugger, which I think is interesting, and this is like not going to go into it too much, but the Gunlugger, while you do get to like have a big loadout with weapons, it's the if you want to have like a unique weapon or a specific weapon or a signature weapon, Battle Babe's actually where you want to go, because Battle Babe has the custom firearm section and custom hand weapon section.
It's like having the AK-47 prosthetic leg.
Yeah, from Death. Right, yeah.
Yep.
God, what a good reference. What a good fucking reference. But yeah, it's like having the AK-47 leg, but I also think something about the customs is just like it adds that like little bit of it is aura farming. Having custom weapons is aura farming. Like that is absolutely way cooler, because like having the I have a bunch of guns is very cool, but having the like one unique really like fuck off weapon is very I love the idea, because you get to choose a base one and then choose two. Having a big armor penetrating crossbow is something you can do. Like, you can get really funky with it. I also think it's cool that they get access to melee weapons and have some unique ways to handle them.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Aqua? What do you want to point out about the Battle Babe?
So, I do think it's funny. It's a little thing, but impossible reflexes. The way you move unencumbered counts as armor. If you're naked or nearly naked, you get 2 armor. If you're wearing non-armor fashion, you get 1 armor. And if you're wearing armor, use that instead. So it's like, they're just so gritty.
I'm just literally seeing scenes of a leg lady.
Yeah, also, it's the part where she's spinning on the ground, using the AK to, like, project, like, to keep herself spinning, to, like, keep the momentum of the spin while firing in the circle. Like, that's exactly what that is.
While wearing, short shorts and a bikini top.
Yes, exactly.
Death Ride is such a fucking stupid movie.
just to give some extra flavor, you know?
Hell yeah.
But yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. All right, moving on to the Brainer. As I kind of mentioned before, it does have in-brain puppet strings, but that is a different ability. The Brainer special is actually, if you and a character have sex, you automatically do a deep brain scan on them, whether you have the move or not. Roll plus weird as normal. However, the MC, main character, I said, whoops, but the MC chooses which questions the character's player answers. So when you bang someone, you get to read their mind.
Connected.
I mean, that there's some interesting flavor that can happen there in the sense of like people mind melding and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. The thing I want to point out is probably the Brainer gear.
Yeah,
Ooh,
that sounds really neat.
yeah.
I think that alone, like, what it's like, it just, I can't describe it. I like the different flavors that it has here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Some
I'm sure
sort
you guys
of,
can elaborate much better than I am right now. My brain just completely
No,
shut off.
I mean, no worries. It's some sort of like, but yeah, the different flavors here. It's some sort of tech implant of some kind, and there isn't a sci-fi setting that doesn't, or apocalypse, or like any sort of setting like this that doesn't benefit from having augmentations of some kind. Augmentations are always a cool thing. I imagine it's something you can take, which is very cool and potentially get more of. The different variations are very cool. Like receptivity drugs is like Mentats from fucking Fallout. Deep earplugs, very. I love I love any protective abilities with this kind of thing. They always come with them when they come up. They're always so cool. Implant syringes are really interesting. Violation glove is very interesting in the sense that like it I think when it's literally just if you grab someone or like you touch someone with the glove, you get to use your psychic abilities, which is kind of interesting. Like, yeah, there's a lot of different ways you can go about it.
Yeah, it touches a lot of keystones.
I'm going to point out something we talked about. Oh yeah, it does touch a bunch of different keystones from a bunch of different like cultural like areas for this sort of setting to be. I fully agree with that. I was going to just point out the thing I kind of pointed out before, which is the in-brain puppet strings, because it kind of connects to the Brainer special. The idea of like having I do think it is very interesting how much, and like, because you wouldn't normally expect it, but how much Brainer is benefited from physical intimacy, and there's an aspect to that makes sense, but also like you actually are genuinely like when it read it up here, it was like, okay, yeah, what does it say? You'll be happy anyway, but you'll be happiest if someone wants to have sex with you, even though you're a Brainer. Angle for that if you can. I was like, wow, that's kind of a weird thing to like point out specific. No, it makes sense. It makes sense. It makes sense. This class is actually like Brainer is an interesting thing because, I mean, maybe because you give brain to people, but like, Brainer I think is like an interesting term because yeah, it's different than head, deep brain, but you're giving like. It's more of a class that's based around mental connection with others.
Yes.
Than it is around actual like, oh yeah, just mental stats and that kind of thing. It's literally about like empathic connection to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is kind of interesting. It does have another little ability here I will point out, since I did point out that one before, which is unnatural lust transfiction. When you try to seduce someone, roll weird instead of rolling plus hot. So you can literally just be like so unusual that people find you hot. Like that kind of like the I can't stop looking at them.
That's what
I don't know if I'm afraid or I want to have sex. The return of the Y boner.
Look at this hot goth chick that I picked up from being goofy.
Yeah, from being a goofy guy.
Yeah.
It's the me, my goth girlfriend doing whatever the fuck she wants to me with like them lying down in the ritual circle.
Ritual circle.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. I'm scaroused. Yeah, that is exactly it, Vaughn. That is the scaroused is the
100%.
brainer class. Monkey
Oh.
Trafalgar D Chopper, Monkey D Chopper, Chopper
Mhm.
D Chopper.
What's their sex move?
Here.
Wait, is it my turn to read?
Think it-
I think Chopper was
I think it's
Aqua.
mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's mine.
Okay.
If you and another character have sex, they immediately change their sheet to say history +3 with you. They also choose whether to give you -1 or +1 to your history with them on your sheet.
So it's like the inverse of the angel.
Yes.
I think it kind of makes sense because you're like meant to be keeping like if you were the chopper, you have like a reputation to maintain, right?
Exactly.
And by having sex with someone, you are being vulnerable. You are opening yourself up to that person. And it is entirely up to that person whether or not they take advantage of that.
Exactly.
Mm.
So that's where that mechanic comes in. It's interesting. I like that it's the invert. At first I was reading, I was like, oh, they just give that one. I was like, no, wait a second.
Here I go, what? That
I'm
is
sorry, I'm shaking my head at one of the moves.
Oh, yeah.
You Pack Alpha? Is it Pack Alpha?
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna touch on that one. I'm gonna touch on your bike. I love when games give you like ways to customize a thing that's specific to you. Like, if I if/when we return to the Monster of the Week thing with Connor, where he's playing the character with the motorcycle, I may actually just steal the your bike section right here
You should.
and just be like, here you go, fill this out. I will just straight up just take this because I think that's really cool. I love having customizable cool option. Like battle option, speed +1, handling +1, weakness, choose one of the following. Like I love this shit. This shit's so good. Let me customize a bike.
Hell yeah. What about you, Aqua? What do you want to point out?
Well, I was gonna go over. It's totally inconsequential. Just the names. Stinky.
Stinky. Where's Stinky? Hold on.
Under the name, creating a chopper. You got Dog,
Oh.
Domino, T-Bone,
Just pointing that
Stinky.
out. Stinky.
That's
No,
you know what? No, we're sticking with that. That is what you've pointed out. Check out these fucking names. There's
These names are
Dog,
great.
Domino, Stinky, Satan, Lars, Bullet,
Yeah.
Dice, Shithead, Half
Yeah.
Pint, Scooter, Diamond, Goldie, Tinker, Loose, Baby. My personal favorite, Juck. Hammer, Hooch, Snake Eyes, Pinky, Wire, and Blues. Wow.
Stinky.
What a list.
Juck.
It's like, what
Juck.
if- I don't know. I
Give
don't know.
him the old Juck.
Yeah.
Also, gang. Okay, so I liked.
Mhm.
I was reading through the gang thing a little bit more. I think this should. If you see this, definitely use it for like an your undercity for any campaign. This right
Mhm.
here should just be something that you keep in mind. Very similar to, I think, is it Shadow Dark or Blade? Like
Blades in the Dark. Blades in the Dark.
Blades in the Dark.
Yeah.
I get those mixed up all the time. But
Shadowrun
yeah.
and Blades in the Dark have some similarities. This game actually, Apocalypse and Shadowrun have some like thematic similarities to them. Because Shadowrun is like future sci-fi fantasy. And Blades in the Dark is like gritty pseudo like unclear time period turn of the Industrial Revolution like thievery game.
Yeah, because like yeah, like I, but like looking at this with the gang, excuse me, having something very similar to this, where like if you're having like an underground city or like a group of rogues being a threat that keeps coming back, having them be able to level up with the city and how much they start taking over is extremely brilliant.
It also helps you figure out like how you set them up, how like what things they're good at, like what things they're
And they function a little
yeah.
bit like a swarm, but of like medium-sized creatures.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause
And
they
I'm a
work as a
big
team.
fan of using swarms. I use what I call mook rules when I run like big combats in D&D and that kind of thing. So I love having groups in games.
Yeah, I would just steal this and like tweak it a little bit to fit the theming and like the world that it's in, and but like having just like a bullet like little
I mean, kind of like I'm just stealing the bike for a different game.
yeah, it's just like the same with the size and the harm and the armor levels. Like a
Yeah, you
gang
can
has
change
just like
all of that. It's mostly
yeah,
about the vibe that like it helps you like because going through this kind of thing, and I think the point that you're kind of leaning towards is the fact that this system really helps you define some of the smaller aspects of games that like other games don't really think about. Like D&D doesn't
yes,
have any kind of mechanic for coming up with how to establish the hierarchy of a group of thugs in an undercity. Weirdly
yeah,
enough, this game does.
it does. And like I do like the size and the harm and the armor factor, because I think of like just the Power Ranger just goons, where it's just like they're just minions that wear the same armor.
Goons!
Yeah, the traditional use of the word goon.
Yeah, I don't know
Not
what
whatever the
why
fuck is
any
being used
staring at
now.
chat. I don't know why anyone would think
Yeah.
anything different when I say goon.
I hate how it's been
I'm
tainted.
very sad about how that word was taken
We are
from us.
pro gooning in this channel, okay?
Yeah. Goon Union.
Goon
Goonian.
Yeah,
Union.
exactly.
Oh
Alrighty.
man.
Heck yeah. In that case, driver. If driver special, if you and another character have sex, roll plus cool. On a 10 plus, it's cool. No big deal. On a 7 to 9, give them +1 to their history with your sheet, but give you a -1 to history on yours. On a miss, you gotta go. Take -1 ongoing until you prove that it's not like they own you or anything.
Damn, what a bitch.
That's so funny. That's
Oh my
so funny. It's literally like this one doesn't have like benefits in the same way. This one's literally just oh my god. Very funny. I love
So
I
funny.
love that the idea
So
of this one is like, you know, the driver they're really leaning into the they don't like being tied down, they like staying on the move, they don't like being connected to anyone in particular. Their love is their car, their love is the road. And so like, yeah, if you succeed on it, you're like, cool, yeah, that was good sex, whatever. Um but the fucking I love that even if you get a 7 to 9, you get a -1 on your history.
It's like that was no good. It was not good
It's
sex.
actually, I would straight up say it's better for you to get a full miss than a 7 to 9. Because then it's like, you know, the like roleplay aspect of, you know, until you prove it's not like they own you or anything. Like, it's so funny.
Oh my god. So fucking funny.
I do want to say the thing that I like on this is my other car is a tank.
Yeah, my other car is a
Hell
tank.
yeah.
Specialized
If you
battle
didn't,
vehicle.
I would have pulled that one. I would have highlighted that one. Because like the idea of
Oh, so cool.
you can just be Killdozer is great. to me. The idea that you can just
Mm.
choose to be Killdozer is so good.
I do want to point out that you have 3 different vehicles at your disposal.
You can have 3 different vehicles. So collector is, I believe, what that comes from. Or do you just get 3 out the gate?
You get 2 additional cars you detail.
Yeah, so collector gets you 2 additional cars, as far as I understand.
Okay.
You start off with 1. And then if you
So
like, you could
literally do a
choose.
full Fast
Co-
and Furious, like, just like we have cars.
You could do collector, and my other car is a tank, and you just have
Yep.
all
yep,
the vehicles.
all of them.
So many fucking vehicles.
That's so funny.
What about you, Thalia? What was one thing that you're gonna point out?
One thing I would point out, I felt like at first I was thinking I was gonna pull out or point out the car section, but it's very similar to the bikes and how that functions. So I don't necessarily want to just like point out the same thing again. I think what I will point out is
Yeah.
Weather Eye. Which is one of their moves that I find very interesting. When you open your brain to the world's psychic maelstrom, you roll cool instead of weird. And from what I can tell, drivers they're leaning heavily into the thing of like the driver's kind of distant and kind of off in their own world and is like separate and is a little bit lone wolfy kind of. And I think Weather Eye is kind of like, I don't know, I was just like immediately drawn to like that one and kind of reading it. And I was like trying to find a way to make it like work with a character because I think that one's very interesting. The idea that because you're on the road so much and have spent so much time like by yourself, you have this weird sort of different connection to the psychic maelstrom of the world.
I see.
Almost like I think something they call it in like, it's something that they show for like driver characters in media is like driver's intuition. Like it's the whole like when you see a driver, they do that quick like look around, they pull on the like gears and they like change what gear they're in and they hit the brake and they do the turn and they hit that one like spin to exactly get into the right, and like that to me it's like almost supernatural like. And I think that's kind of where that's coming from. You know, there's that like so good at driving a car it's almost magic. It's kind of like when fucking Zoro in One Piece starts pulling out the weird ass like sword abilities, and it's just like, no, I'm just so good at swords it does this.
Yeah.
It's just my thing. All right.
Right. Gunlooker?
Yeah, Gunlugger. Gunlugger special. If you and another character have sex, you take +1 forward at your option. They take +1 forward too.
I think the idea behind this one is that if you sleep with a gunlugger, there's the aspect of you have someone to protect and they have someone to protect them.
Well, how I read it is that you, as the player, are the dommy mommy. You choose when they want to go forward. That's how I'm reading it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree to an extent. I think the aspect of you also getting the +1 forward is that I just had sex. Hell yeah, I'm not gonna let anything happen to this person that I'm having sex with now.
Well, the second part is like at your option. It's not the player's option.
The second part absolutely is the Dami part of it. Absolutely.
It's like you get to choose if they get to move forward with the history.
What I would point out is what most people would look at immediately because it's in capitals, but is not to be fucked with.
Yeah.
In battle, you count as a small gang with harm and armor according to your gear. the idea that you count as you are such a menace in combat that you count as a group is so good. It is so good.
That's a really cool ability in general. Like that's
Bristling with weapons.
oh my gosh, that's really 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 clever. I might steal that idea and concept.
Yeah, that's a very that's a
For-
very fun one. That's a very cool thing, and I don't think I've seen that in many other games.
Like if I like I was if I was thinking of stealing something similar like to this for my system, I would probably make it like an aura effect. Like either you are ranged, just fucking people up, like basically very like kung fu, like movie style, or you're doing like Wild West style, or like the scene from uh uh oh my god, what is it called? Gentlemen.
Oh,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, you know the scene.
Mm-hmm.
In the church. It's like you have an aura basically that allows you to
I think you're
just
talking
kick
about.
ass.
Oh, you're talking about Kingsman, not League of Extraordinary
Kingsman.
Gentlemen. Cool.
Oh,
Kingsman,
Kingsman.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Kingsman church scene is such a well choreographed fight scene, and yeah,
Oh,
that
so
very much.
good.
Yep.
So good.
It was a fun
Oh
movie.
man. What would you point out, Aqua?
I like the fuck the shit.
If you didn't pick it, I would.
If you out of there. Like name your escape route of roll plus hard. On 10 plus, sweet, you're gone. On 7 to 9 you can go or stay, but if you go it costs you and you have to leave something behind or take something with you. And the see the MC will tell you what.
Yeah, if you take
On
something
a miss,
with
you're
you,
caught
yeah.
vulnerable half in and half out.
I think it's interesting. This ability was actually adapted into Monster of the Week for none other than the mundane, because the
Mhm.
mundane has the oh, I have a way out ability, where it's the
Yeah.
same thing, where basically you roll on a full success, you just get everyone out. On a 7 to 9, you get everyone out, but I think it's you either are become vulnerable or you have to leave something behind. So there's like slight difference, and then on a full miss you take harm. And that way is no longer a viable exit. And so I think it's interesting that this was adapted into a mundane move. But I do
Yeah.
love the idea of the... Because, like, it's like the classic scene in, you know, a firefight with, like... in, like, one of the old RoboCop movies where they're, like, pinned down and they just, like, kick the side door and escape into a different room. It's like, you know what? Fuck this. This isn't worth it. I'm out of here.
Hell yeah. Then I would like to point out, I see that they have a specific harm mechanic
Yes.
just for them.
Mm-hmm.
And just like, it's really long, but I see how it's like if you get hurt, like shit starts happening.
Yeah.
Or wait, am I reading this wrong? Or is this just like instructions on harm? I thought it was just very specific to them.
It does seem... I mean, I do think that they included basic harm stuff. Because you are doing harm so often. But it does actually have differences. So it says up here, typically when a character suffers harm, it's equal to the harm rating of the attack or mishap minus the armor rating of the character. This is called harm as established. When you suffer harm, roll harm suffered after armor without wearing any. So you roll plus harm suffered. So you roll 2d6 plus the amount of harm that you've suffered after everything. So let's say you get hit by a big attack. Even through armor, you get hit with 2 damage, right? 2 harm.
Right.
You mark your harm down. You then roll 2d6, and you add that 2 harm that you took. If you on the various results, you get various things happening. On a 10 plus, So if you roll really well, so this is actually one of those weird this is one of those weird circumstances where it seems like you actually, it's one of the few times where a DM rolls, but it's one of those interesting situations where you actually want to roll lower. If you roll high on this harm roll, you can become unconscious or you take additional harm. If you roll medium, you have something that like might happen to you. You miss noticing something, you lose track of something, you lose your footing, you lose your grip on something. And I think this is to balance out how much arms and armor you get. So if you do actually take damage, it's like a thing. What I do think is interesting though is on a miss, they still get to choose one of the things from above. But if the or if the MC chooses something like one of those negatives effect, you actually reduce the harm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I like that next bit about inflicting harm on another player character. You get history.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
They see you for what you are.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Interesting that it has that, like, you know, harm mechanic built in. Aqua, hard holder.
All right. So next, for their special, if you and another character have sex, you can give the other character gifts worth 1 barter at no cost to you.
Sugar mama.
Yeah, sugar mommy.
Yep.
Yeah, take something out with you on your way out.
Yeah. Here, I'll take care of you.
I'm going to point out the fact that as a hard holder, you have way less moves than everyone else, but if you look on the back, holding,
yes,
you choose so
you
much.
Have a lot.
You have so many resources. You really, if you like management, do this. Like, if you like managing shit, do this.
Yeah. They get a lot to play with.
That's so much shit.
I like how your moves are just literally like your wealth and leadership.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And that's it.
That's it.
It has a section for other moves, like, wild.
You're Batman without the actual kung fu.
Well, and just like look at like another thing I guess I would point out was just the stuff under their barter. Like when you give gifts, here's what might count as a gift worth 1 barter: a month's hospitality, including place to live and meals in common, night in high luxury, any weapon, gear, or fashion not valuable or high tech, repairs, like.
Yeah, what's interesting
There's a
about
lot of
hard
stuff.
holder is there are so many passive benefits from it.
Yeah.
If you're reading what you were saying under barter, your holding provides for your day-to-day living. So while you're there governing it, you need not spend barter for your lifestyle at the beginning of the session. You just exist while you're there. You're taken care of.
Hell yeah. Is it me on the Hocus Pocus?
I think so.
Yes.
Yes.
Though we did already kind of read it because we got really.
We did.
We were memeing a little bit about it.
We were memeing a little bit. Wait, did we read that or did we read Brain?
But it was, see, the thing is, we didn't actually, it was Brainer that you're thinking of, and we didn't actually read it. We were reading In-Brain Puppet Strings, which is just one of their abilities. That's not actually their special.
Okay.
Because that one is way more based around interpersonal interaction. Gotcha. Hocus is its own thing.
All right, Hocus Special. If you and another character have sex, you each hold 1. Either of you can spend your hold any time to help or interfere with the other at a distance or despite any barriers that would normally prevent it.
Interesting. So you get to choose.
If it's a boon or a bane.
Yeah, and you get to choose when it happens.
Interesting.
I mean, I suppose that functions like luck, right? You know, it's good or bad
Yeah.
fortune.
Makes sense, makes sense.
I'm going to once again point out the thing on the back. I'm just going to keep pointing these out because I really like them, but it's the description on followers. You really get to customize what your following is like, how many you have, how much they operate, the kind of things that you, relationships you have with them. I love adding some mechanic, like, and not like over gamifying it, but having the like tag mechanics that this game has is very nice. Surplus plus party, surplus plus augury, surplus plus fortune. Like, it has a easy way to keep track of the benefits and negatives.
Yeah. What did you see?
Okay, so under frenzy. So
Mhm.
when you speak the truth to a mob, you roll plus weird. On a 10 plus, hold 3. On 7 to 9, hold 1. Spend your hold 1 for 1 to make the mob do the following. You can either do bring people forward and deliver them, bring forward all their precious things, unite and fight for you as a gang, 2 harm, 0 armor, size appropriate, fall into an orgy of uninhibited emotion, fucking, lamenting, fighting, sharing, celebrating as you choose.
A
Go quietly back to
Bacchic
your lives.
frenzy.
On a miss, the mob turns on you. So just like,
Damn.
yeah, it's like a lot there.
Damn.
I love
That is
that you can hold
wild.
3 on a 10 plus, so you can have people unite and fight for you, then fall into an orgy, and then go quietly back to their lives.
Yeah.
Like nothing happened.
Like
and they're just
nothing happened.
they're like kind of like side eye each other. It's just like it's just gonna go back to my life.
Yep.
So many awkward stares that week between folks who were there at the orgy.
Reminded
Oh
of a really cursed episode of Rick and Morty.
There you go.
God, yeah. Man.
Alrighty.
Let's see.
Fucking
I don't
whack nut.
think...
Yeah.
There are a bunch of abilities in these various classes that just give you a very basic one, like +1 to hard, +1 to weird.
Yeah.
But the names on those ones are always so good. Like, for Hocus, it's fucking Whacknut. For Gunlugger, it's Insano like Drano.
Yeah.
It's good. It's some good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Maestro D?
Maestro. Sorry, what was that, right?
Oh, I was just saying Maestro.
Maestro de Special. If you hook up with another character... Wait, hold on. Got it. If you hook another character up with sex, with food, with something, whatever, it counts as having sex with them.
Oh my god.
Chef's kiss.
Nice.
Chef's kiss.
Oh my god.
You
That's
just
so
pass the
good.
buff-
That is really
the
good.
buff
That's really
pass.
good. Oh my gosh.
Amazing. Amazing. So this one it can literally be if I smoke you up, we get the fucking sex abilities from other people. That's so good.
Oh my god.
Yep, you do the
I
puff
love
pass.
that. I love that. I'm gonna point out a move that I absolutely love from this. I'm not actually gonna point out the establishment. It's just like another one of those. You pick all the stuff, and I want to do that at some point. So I'm not gonna go too far into that now. But I will point out. You call this hot.
I was looking at that.
Yep. When you're rolling under fire, roll plus hot instead of plus cool. You can literally just be so. And I will say something about this. Hot to me, in this, I will never read this as physical attraction. I will read this as aura. Hot to me is aura. Hot, like in the way that this comes across, because like attraction doesn't just come from physical, like, attractiveness. Attraction also can vary, for a lot of people, come from, like, someone's demeanor or someone's mood, or how someone presents themselves publicly, or how someone, like, has a sort of personality about them that is really gravitating for a lot of people. And that's kind of what hot reads to me as. And, like, if you've worked in a kitchen or anything like that, there is that sort of just, like, I am so used to this bullshit that it means nothing to me. Like, it means nothing to me. And so, like, shit gets under fire, like, literally, everything starts going wrong, and it's have you ever been in a kitchen? This is my daily life!
Yeah.
And so it is the force of personality, force of character, and I love that. That's great for me. It's I don't need to be cool, I don't need to keep myself cool, this is what I do, baby!
Baby. Everybody eats, even that guy.
Thank you for pointing that out. I wanted someone to.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
When you want to know something about someone important, you recall, roll plus hot. On a hit, you can ask the MC questions. On a 10 plus, ask 3. On a 7-9, ask 1.
So this actually goes into how some of the mechanics in Monster of the Week work, interestingly enough. That's how a lot of the question mechanics in Monster of the Week works. And you can see where they got it from, because there are certain moves that kind of do that same sort of vibe to them. That where you can be like, okay, I want to ask a question, you roll, and then you can get certain number of answers based on how well you roll. I love this ability. For Ray, we were playing, and for Vaughn in chat, we were playing Citizen Sleeper recently, and there's the character who sticks up for you while you're at a bar and, like, helps take care of you and feed you and give you a place to work.
Yeah.
And that is this ability, right? Like, it's that everybody eats, even that guy. It's like I don't fucking care what kind of reputation they have. I don't fucking care what kind of, like, if you're in my space, I take care of you. And I love that shit. That shit, like, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna play a driver. If we get down to playing this, I will absolutely play a Maestro D. Like, that shit's hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Yeah, like, I think Luna in the Monster of the Week game that we played, I try to make them have that vibe of, like, it's like, you're in my house, you're going to eat. I don't care.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly. All right. Aqua, you want to point something out from
Yeah,
Maestro?
I like the fingers in every pie.
Yeah.
Put out a word that you want a thing. Could be a person, could be something, could even just be a thing, and roll plus hot. On 10 plus, it shows up in your establishment for you, like magic. On 7 to 9, your people make an effort and everybody wants to please you, and close is close, right? On a miss, it shows up in your establishment for you with strings wicked attached.
I will say, fucking a devil with a blade is also just so cool. Just,
Yeah.
again, hot is competence, I think, is
It
how
really
I
is.
read it. Hot is
Yeah.
how competent you are.
With the
almost
sexy filter on.
confidence. Yeah, it's straight up almost confidence, right? Like,
Yeah.
how
Right.
confident you are in this thing, in this situation.
Makes
I
sense.
Well, confidence
really
is
like
hot.
this. Competence is hot. I really like this. I think this is a very cool one.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. And all right, the savvy head. If you and another character have sex, they automatically speak to you as though they were a thing, and you'd roll a 10 plus, and whatever you have, and whether you have the move or not. The other player and the MC will answer your questions between them. Otherwise, that move never works on people, only things.
Yeah, Savvy Head moves, things speak. Who handled this last before me? And so I think like I will just use that to highlight things speak. In that the whole I think mechanic behind the mechanic, the Savvy Head, is that you are good with objects. Like you've spent so much
Yep.
time working on them, etc., that you can recognize other people's work. You can recognize like how it's been handled, how someone treated it, that kind of thing. I think that's really cool. And the
Yeah.
idea of like that applying when you're intimate with someone is very interesting.
Well, because it's like a deep intuitive sense that you connect with,
Hmm.
being that you're savvy
I
normally
think my
with like items, but like when you're actually intimate with someone and having sex or whatever, then you have that connection with them like
I
you would
think
an
what's
object.
really interesting is one of the questions you can ask is what's wrong with this and how might I fix it? Is you can
Yeah.
like
Ooh.
ask what's wrong with the situation, like why are they doing that? That's
Yeah.
really interesting.
They're literally like, I could fix them.
They can fix them.
I really, yeah, Savvy Head's very interesting.
Well, it's like spooky intense. When you do something
Yeah,
under
spooky
fire,
intent.
stand Overwatch or Beta Trap, roll weird instead of roll cool. That tickled me.
Like I know this is probably in bad taste a little bit because it's like just from the era it's from, but my mind went to like the old wise man who was like typically in older movies like depicted as like a Native American man or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
yeah, absolutely. Magic brown people. The magic brown
yeah,
people trope.
yeah,
Mhm.
that trope. It's just like I always thought they were badass. Like I didn't even realize it was a fucking trope as a kid. I just thought they
Yeah,
were
I mean, the
badass
magic
people.
brown person trope, it comes from an era of wanting to do better, but also not realizing quite how to do better.
Yeah.
See, and I'm sitting here thinking of like a cat or a dog, or like an animal when it's just like,
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
you know,
nice, nice.
just kind of staring at you, taking you in. You're just like, what the fuck is this?
I mean, for me, this is the every fucking like person in a small town who works on cars and knows everything about them despite never getting a formal education, right? Like it's the for me, it's the spooky intense is just the really quiet, really capable, really knows their shit, intense autistic type.
Yeah, exactly.
Last on the basic playbooks, and then we're gonna take a one quick ad break, and then go through the special playbooks.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Was it me or you?
Skinner, would not me, so it's definitely you.
Okay, okay. Uh, Skinner's special. If you and another character have sex, choose one. You take +1 forward, and so do they. You take 1 plus forward. They take -1. They must give you a gift worthy of at least 1 barter. You can hypnotize them as though you've rolled a +10 even if you haven't chosen to get the move.
Oh, dang.
Which I will once again use to highlight hypnotic. When you have the time in solitude with someone, they can become fixated on you. Roll
Yeah.
plus hot. And this is giving you can have them give something you want, act as your eyes and ears, fight to protect you, do something that you'll tell them. Uh, and then for NPCs, it has some other specific actions. Again, to me, Sharp is reading more as confidence than anything else because it is the like how enrapturing you are as a person, how drawn are people to you, how magnetic are you? You know what I mean? Like it doesn't read as yes, just sexy. Like I feel like that hypnotic can also just apply for people who have that like way with words where you just end up wanting to listen to them no matter what they have to say.
Yeah. And then even on that too, aside from just listening, an arresting Skinner when you remove a piece of clothing, your own or someone else's. No one who can see you can do anything but watch. you command their absolute attention. If you choose, you can exempt individual people by name. It's like, oh,
Wild.
crazy. Although the artful and gracious.
I'm having a hard time picking exactly which one.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I will also just point out breathtaking as another fun little term, like deep insights
Yeah.
with Savvy Head for a cool little, just a basic move.
Yeah. I think I'll just pick like I do like the artful, like in grace.
Artful
Gracious.
and gracious when you perform your chosen art, any act of expression or culture, etc. So the Skinner, as far as I can tell, you could be like, it leaves place for if you want to be a stripper,
Yeah.
and I think that is the like basic intention behind it, but it does leave for doing other things. Like it leaves room for other things that occupy a similar space, which I appreciate.
It's like the companion from Firefly.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes, I like that. I
That's
like that.
that I think is the best comparison I've heard based on this. Yeah, that's a good way to think about it.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. Great suggestion. Alrighty. I'm gonna move us to the really quickly BRB screen. Do another real quick bio break, and we'll finish off with the extended playbooks.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Running ad. Returning shortly.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome. We return, turning off the returning shortly screen. We're back from outer space, and we're now gonna read the extended playbooks, including the face.
Yes.
Yeah.
Less one.
All you, Aqua.
All right.
Yes,
So,
you are the face.
the face. Let us. Do. All right. So their special is if you and another character have sex, hold 1. If they get into shit, either you or they can spend your hold, and you are there. Oh, interesting.
I'm Batman.
So it's like being in a gang, right? Like it's the
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
suddenly have another one show up.
Right.
Right behind you. Someone talking shit,
Mm-hmm.
and like they go, wait, they're right behind me, aren't they?
They're everywhere.
I have to point out Rasputin.
I was about to say, yeah, that
Shot,
one. I was looking at that one.
stabbed, and poisoned. You just keep coming. When you're being scary as fucking coming at someone, you get +1 armor. You still get shot and stabbed. Bleeding just doesn't bother you that much anymore.
Yeah. I just like the oh yeah.
I was just
Oh
putting that-
yeah!
Read it, go.
If you want to take that one, go ahead.
Oh no, go. I'm
Um, and so roll hard to smash your way through scenery to get to or away from something. On 10 plus, the scenery is moved or smashed, and you get what you want. On a 7 to 9, you get what you want and smash or move the scenery, but you take 1 harm, AP, and are disoriented and under fire in follow-up action. Leave something behind or take something with you. Think smashing through walls or pushing through burned out husks of cars. On a miss, your foot gets pinned under something mid-smash.
Mm-hmm.
I love the Kool-Aid Man reference.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You can
I'm gonna
really
put-
make this tanky as shit.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna point out the Norman one.
Okay.
You seek advice of your mask. So you
Look
roll
at me!
your-
Look at me,
Look
Norman!
at me! Look at me, Norman! To see what it does, directs you to do. On a 10 plus, mark experience and make +1 forward if you do as the mask wishes. From 7 to 9, take a +1 if you do as the mask wishes, and act under fire if you don't. On a miss, it has its own agenda. Act
my
under
God.
fire
Oh
if you
my
don't follow it.
god! That's
That's crazy.
amazing!
Oh,
That's
That's
so good!
That's so
that's
awesome.
so good.
That's
That's how
so
madness mechanics should
good.
work.
I
Yeah.
love that.
It's like the mask.
Yeah, the mask.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's the fucking Green Goblin scene.
Well, yeah, that's the Norman
Yep.
bit, but it's just like,
Yeah.
yeah.
But no, you're right. It is absolutely fucking Jim Carrey's The Mask.
Oh my gosh.
That's
Just like he's
wild.
resilient, he can do all kinds of bullshit. So, yeah. Goodness.
I will also, before we move on, I pointed it out when we touched on it before. You have to draw your mask. This is not optional. Best fucking part of a character sheet I've ever seen.
Yes.
Yes. Hell yeah. It's like, what does it look
You
like?
gotta. You gotta.
Gotta.
You know?
Alright, Quarantine Special. If you and another character have sex, roll +sharp. On a hit, ask their player questions. On a 10 plus, ask 2. On a 7 to 9, ask 1. On a miss, you each get -1 history with each other.
Oh no.
It's literally fucking bedroom talk.
Yeah, basically.
It's those scenes that are very just like weirdly awkward after like a sex scene in like a show. And it's just,
Yeah,
like, start talking about life and shit. And just
Yeah, where
like,
the blanket
guys,
is like hiked up too far on their chest because like they don't want to show nudity, but like no one actually lays like that after sex.
yeah. It's just like, and they just start talking to each
Yeah.
other. It's just like,
So
man, I
what are
can't
your
believe X, Y, and Z
dreams?
happened. Just like, dude, I'd be passed the fuck out.
Who was your
Well, see, 'cause,
first
like,
kiss? Did you like it? God, that
I
must have been some boring sex if you can still talk afterwards.
I know, right? That's what I'm saying.
I'll see. Okay, because I could see it going differently. Like, I think on a miss, it would be more like that, where it's just like, yeah, so, but like otherwise, it'd be more like pillow talk kind of thing, where they're like,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just that miss is like, that's like
yeah, miss
dosy.
though. Miss is
So,
just like, this is awkward.
first kiss was your cousin then, eh?
Yep, I think we're done here.
Yeah. Bye. I'm gonna point out stasis and stasis facilities, because it actually has an mechanics for like being in stasis. That's so fucking cool. That's so
Interesting.
good. Like that it and it has
This
like
helps with
different
backstory really
yeah,
well.
Yeah, the
I
past stuff.
love that it helps with backstory. And like not everything needs help with backstory, but for games that rely heavily on settings and collaborative storytelling, it's so nice to sit down and have that stuff codified in there. So you can look at your player and go, how do you want this thing to function? And the player doesn't
Yeah.
hit you with some like loose kind of tangential
Vague
description,
little like, I have a
vague little
thread.
TLDR, and then they like because like that what can happen from that is they either give you full thing and then you write it and you know they're cool with it, or they don't like what you wrote for them, or they like want to change things partway through, or they like or try to angle it so that it's like really really beneficial in some way. And I'm not saying like all players do that, but like those are
Oh
things
yeah.
that can happen, that having this in the game itself, like it mitigates that risk, right? Like
Yeah.
it
Yes.
has that problem be a lot less likely.
Exactly. Let's see. I think I'd like to point out uh mm, leave no one behind. Like, I like mechanics that I like a lot of support mechanics in a lot of
Mhm.
ways. Um, in a battle, when you help someone who's rolling, don't roll plus history. You help them as though you'd hit the roll with a 10.
Mundane has that. For Monster of the Week, Mundane has it when you roll to help someone out, you automatically succeed.
Nice. It's hella nice.
I love to see where the Mundane came from, because they literally combed through these, chose the best abilities that
Yeah.
have like no real function. You know what I mean? Like the really really good ones that don't like specifically cater to a class. And then they threw them all into one character sheet and said, you're useless, but you have the best abilities in the game.
You're everyone's Peter from
Yeah.
Deadpool. You're
Mm-hmm. Straight no, that is what the Mundane is. Like the Mundane is
Yup.
so good. The Mundane is fail upward the class.
hell yeah.
Love the Mundane.
I very much appreciate the mundane.
Quarantine is cool to see that.
what
Aqua,
about
yeah.
Well,
Anything you
see,
want
and
to point
I
out?
know I already mentioned it, but I really did like the past bit
Yeah.
where it's like it's it's not only adding to like your backstory and everything, but like you're also getting some function out of it too. So like when you're using it
At the beginning of each session. That's
you roll sharp.
cool.
On a hit, ask the MC one of the following questions, and then they'll answer it. On a 10 plus, you can ask a follow-up question, which can be from the list, but needn't be, so it doesn't have to. On a miss, the MC will choose a question, and you will answer it. so it's like
Hmm.
reversed. But
Huh. I really like that mechanic. Yeah.
yeah.
The thing is that like you can play as the unreliable narrator with the
Mhm.
miss. So like if you rolled the miss, the MC chooses the question.
Yeah, could
but
we
your
have,
character
it's like,
answers
okay,
it,
could
and
you
the
have
MC's like,
stopped
"That's not
it?
what's happened, but that's what you think that's happened."
Yeah, like you
Yeah.
can literally say, okay, could you have stopped it? You ask the player that, and the player's like, yeah, I think I could have. And it's like, well, no, maybe you necessarily couldn't have, but that's what you think. Or, no,
Yeah,
I couldn't have,
exactly.
or, oh, yeah, you think you couldn't have, but in actuality, you're the reason it happened.
Yeah, exactly. Unreliable narrator energy, which is like a really cool twist to play if you have the right people with. Like, I wouldn't recommend just doing that off the bat.
I think my
Like,
favorite question in here is who seemed safe but wasn't? The
Exactly.
storytelling in that.
Yeah.
so good. Like these questions right here are just good to have like passed around. Like some of these are good to pass around like just like a party
Well, when I
zero
will say,
session.
when I make
Mhm.
when I make parties, like when I sit down to make a group or have a group play together, there is so much character creation I take from Monster of the Week. I very often I will either pair people off together, or I'll have characters create collaborative backstories where they met each other at some point, or they like know of the other players, and the amount of engagement I've had as a result of that, and the amount of player motivation I've had being like, okay, yeah, that's a thing that you want to have in your backstory. Give me these facts about it. It really adds. Like, it really, really adds. I think, funny enough, the we don't talk about the cursed game on here too often, but in the Exandria setting guide and the Wildmount setting guide from D&D, they included something called a heroic chronicle. And this is actually a Matt Mercer creation, not really a D&D thing. That's
Yeah, that's a specifically Matt Mercer creation.
yeah, and the
Like
heroic
he cared a
chronicle
lot
is
about that.
is built into it to help people establish themselves in the world and establish themselves with the other players, and to give them hooks and drives and draws. And it's something that they include in Daggerheart because they
Yes.
liked it so much.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
'Cause,
this
yeah,
this has
Matt
that
makes
built
it
in. There's some of that rubric framework in here.
Yeah, it does, and that's what I really appreciate it, because it's like Daggerheart and this and Monster of the Week and stuff like that is like I like that they allow that little helper line, because sometimes it's just like sometimes you're just having like a off day and you can't really get the creative juices flowing, but like just seeing a single prompt will like immediately spark it.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
game loves prompting players.
Because like I get too much into it in the design aspect, and I just need a prompt to make me just stick to something. Like
Mhm.
I get too detailed. So having
Yeah.
prompts help me restrain that need to make like a full fucking
as
character
your
story.
as your editor, yeah, that makes a lot of sense for you, because you have a tendency to really want to dig into something and to get very focused and fixated, which makes sense for a lot of reasons, but like you really, really hone in on things. And it's a good thing, but you do need that sort of like
I need that restraint.
the limiting factor helps you focus things. It's my favorite rule when it comes to writing anything, which is you have to know the rules to break them.
Yes, and that's the same with art. Like, and that's why I know I need restraint when I found out my style eventually, where it's just like, yeah, I need some bumper areas just to like keep me in the lane
I kind of
that I
I
want to
kind of
stay
have a
in.
similar thing where I have to actively, like, for example, it's been 2 weeks since Calisador's Guide and I'm running it on Friday. I had to actively over the weekend put my book away and not prep anymore, because if I were to sit down and keep prepping, I would over prep. And over prepping, in my opinion, is just as dangerous as under prepping for running a game, because you will you will make yourself either too rigid or too fixated or too detailed on things, and that will take away from the players in the story.
Yeah.
Moving
Absolutely.
on to Water Bearer. Water bears.
Yes. Water bear.
Water
So they're special. When you and another character have sex, ask them to do something for you. Whether they agree or refuse in the moment, if they go on to do it, you mark experience. Okay, fairly straightforward.
Hmm.
So basically, you get experience either way if they eventually do it.
Yeah, like if you give them like a reasonable task, that's just like really easy to fucking do as like a water bearer.
Well, whether it's reasonable or not, it's just ask them to do something for you. Whether they agree or refuse at the time. But if they end up doing it, you get to mark experience.
Yeah. So you can level up much faster
Yeah.
than, well, technically level up
Mm-hmm.
much faster than anybody else.
Interesting. Okay, yeah, because aside from just being like someone who literally has control of the water, it looks like they also kind of have like a not necessarily just like a referee, but kind of like a peacekeeper kind of role.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like one of their abilities is Peacekeeper.
Yeah, or the peacemaker, but yeah.
Peacemaker, yeah.
There's kind of like a diplomatic element to them, but there's
That's it.
also
That's the word.
definitely like a merchant or a water baron aspect to them as
Mhm.
well. Because while it does have things like, all are welcome, it also has things like embargo, where you can go
Yeah.
aggro with deprivation as your weapon, inflicting de-harm water on people. So you can literally keep people from getting water in like a above table setting, and that's wild.
Yeah.
Right.
I also think the source of abundant pure water is really interesting because of how it interacts with other people. For example, you can
Yeah.
act as an angel supplier.
Yeah.
It's very interesting how they have some of these prompts for the source.
Yeah, I do actually really like that. Hot
And like
springs.
the culture that goes around it too. Interesting.
Yeah. Also, I really like step into the flow. When you lead a group in true ceremony, on a 10 plus, choose 2. On 7 to 9, choose 1. And like things like if anyone's sick is healed, anyone distraught is calmed, anyone lost is reassured, anyone injured is healed. That's really neat.
Yeah,
On a miss,
it's
the
almost like a
world's psychic
religious
maelstrom
minister.
interferes. Yeah.
It's almost like a religious minister sort of type.
Mhm.
Very like Baptist.
Yeah, a little
Energy.
bit.
Which is like really cool. Like that trope does exist very frequently.
Mm-hmm.
When it has to
People
do
who
with like
provide
water
things in times of scarcity are very often seen as deific figures.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on to Child Thing.
Yeah.
In addition to food, you eat bizarre things. Metal, people, plastic,
God.
mines, electricity, art. The end of the session, if you've eaten something from this list that belonged to another player's character, you know them better. You gain +1 history.
Just gonna
If this brings you you can eat someone's finger.
crunch.
That's wild.
That is crazy.
Just
Does
see someone
lean
eating
into
something
the
like a goat, just like a piece, like their journal, their diary, like they were keeping
Yeah.
track of notes. It's just
it
sanity
definitely
and
leans into
risking it.
the super mutant aspect of them. You know what I mean? Like the inhuman aspect to them.
Hmm.
Oh man, I one of them's really long, and then one of them is like a mother's heartbeat, and I'm like,
Yeah.
Sniffing the air, mother's heartbeat, ferocious snarling, shrieking, biting, and quite possibly rabid.
Gosh.
I want to point out wolves of the maelstrom. The
Oh.
maelstrom's wolves are hunting you. Under their disguises, they look like people, birds, angels, shadows, beasts, machines, insects. But they have no faces, they have human like what? I love that you can choose they are people with human faces.
Hmm.
there's people with human faces. Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and how you could twist that is like, doesn't mean that
And
it's their face, but they
and
have
they are
human
made of
faces.
and they are made of metal and plastic. They come and go
Yeah.
impossibly. They have awful voices. They
Hmm.
Their
only
faces
howl.
could be stitched on.
I mean, you could do they are people with no faces and empty holes for eyes and oh, okay. But this is definitely one of those where like if this doesn't fit, if you aren't wanting to lean into the maelstrom stuff, if you aren't wanting to lean into the more supernatural aspect, uh Wyatt the Wyvern Watson, yeah, exactly. Sitting at the computer, eating electricity, causing it to crash. Thank you for the follow, by the way.
Oh, hey, Wyatt. How's it going?
Nom, 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 nom.
But yeah, no, just straight up, the wildest things you can come from this.
Yeah, no,
I
this
can
is a
just
really
see.
fun system.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Because like, I could just see like with the whole electricity thing, it's like you just plug in your charger and just stick the other part in your mouth and just suck on it. Just sit there, just on the floor, just like just waiting.
Oh my god, I
Oh,
would love
Charge up.
to pair a child thing with like what was it again? I believe it's the scrapper, the chopper. No, not chopper, not chopper. The was it savvy head? To pair a
okay.
savvy
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
head with a child thing. Oh, Wyatt says hello back, Aqua.
Yee.
Wishes
Doing
you
good,
the
doing good.
best, but I would love the fact of them having just like a tool set and the child thing coming up and just eating the
Mm-hmm.
wrenches out of the toolbox.
Nom nom.
Crunch,
Oh,
crunch,
I
crunch.
like Mercurial. Whenever you want, change any or all of your looks. Those who know you can still recognize you, but only if they look closely.
That's kind of
Mm.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Changeling energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can really get weird with this one. All right. I think is there anything else anyone wants to point out about the child thing?
Mm-mm.
In that case, moving on
Good.
to the news. Oh,
Yes.
wow.
All right. So, if you and another character have sex, you see through each other's personas and get a glimpse of the person underneath. They can choose to ask you 1, 2, or 3 questions, and you can ask them the same number. What are you most afraid of? What are you most proud of? What do you do that's just an act? Who do you secretly love? And who do you secretly hate?
Hmm.
Hmm.
Oh, I love no bullshit. When you read a person, you can always ask, is your character telling the truth? Free.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That is a good one.
Someone, Was it you, Aqua, or
I
was
think
it
Aqua, you did point out the good fight.
Oh,
Yeah.
Last time, which I don't mind using as mine this time.
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
When you talk passionately with another player character about your plans, the future, how fucked up things are, roll hot. Again, this is where I think hot reads as confidence, right?
Yeah.
Like you are enrapturing with the way that you're speaking about this. Passionate, I think, is another term that fits very well there.
Yeah.
On a 7 to 9 hold 2, on a 10 hold 3, 7 to 9 hold 2, and you can spend your hold for hold 1 for 1 to ask a character to do something, and if they do, mark experience. If they miss, they hold 1 over you on exactly the same terms, which is really cool. I love mutual mechanics in these games.
Yeah.
This kind of functions the way that convincing another player in Monster of the Week works, where you can be like, I want to try to convince them to do something, and you can roll against it. And then, like, if you succeed, the player gets experience if they listen to you. And if you fail, they get experience if they don't listen to you.
Yeah.
The rebellious child. And then it gets stuck. It's like, I don't want to. Question. It's like, do I say that I do or do I not? I'm gonna point out Studio. I do like these little buildings that you can get that come
Buildings,
with, like,
mechanics, weapons. It's usually specific to it. I love this shit. This shit's so good. Give me something specific to my character that I can customize.
Or like the fact that you have to choose a complication, you know?
Yes.
Oh
Like
yeah,
some
they always
flaw to
include
give it some more
that,
character.
right? Like for the
Yeah.
professional and Monster of the Week, it has the organization you're a part of, and you have to choose benefits, but you also have to choose a negative, like red tape, budget cuts.
Exactly.
And so when someone's like, "Oh yeah, I want to see if I can get this from my group," I will always go, "Okay, what's your negative?" And so I actually had a situation recently where in a game someone was like, "Oh yeah, I want to see if I can get this," and they were playing a professional. I was like, "Oh, what's your?" I think this was Zen actually. And I was like, okay, what's your negative? And they were like, oh shit, budget cuts. And I was like, yeah, no, you wouldn't have access to that because you're dealing with budget cuts right now.
Yeah, that was the game that we played.
Yeah, that was the game we played. I thought that was like, I love that kind of mechanic. I love that kind of mechanic. It's cold,
So
damp, and uncomfortable.
Yup. It's in a well-known location. That's really
You've got
fucking
no
scary.
security at all. Yeah, those are really cool. I really like those. There's no good one.
Yeah. Everything has its risk, and I like that. All right, and then the show.
The best one. Saving the best for last. The fucking... Oh my god.
Show.
If you and another character have sex, sweet.
Sweet. It's just the whole nice.
Nothing else. Just nice. Fucking amazing. Holy shit. Oh my god.
Off the leash,
I love the
definitely.
flavor text.
Definitely go into that one.
Your music is fascinating. Like this whole your music section, when you perform, you can, if you try, crack open the world. Roll plus weird. On a 10 plus, choose 1. On a 7 to 9, choose 1, but you suffer 1 harm. AP loud. On a miss, choose 1, but you and everyone within reach of you suffers 1 harm. AP loud. AP meaning armor piercing.
Gotcha.
In Monster of the Week terms, it's just ignores armor. But these abilities are insane. You can make a noise that the alien brains made when they pushed the button that ended humanity. You make the noise that your lover's breath and blood makes when they're turned on. God, this game's so fucking horny. You make the noise that
God.
the ancient bronze armies made, beating their spears against their shields.
Oh my god, this one is really deep. You make the noise that the last whale heard when it sang and no one answered.
Damn.
Tell
Ooh.
the MC that this place becomes a prison. Furnace or mirage. Damn.
Damn.
But yeah, and the dinosaurs, when they saw the fireball.
Yep.
Oh,
Good
good
descriptions.
Good eats.
Good eats. Like,
This
they
is
don't
the
try to,
best
like,
class. There's like,
Yeah.
they don't name a genre or anything like that. They give you like a feeling, and it's just like you
Yeah.
make it sound however you want, but you know this feeling.
Yeah. Well, see, and that's all like antithesis of just like, or no, not sorry, but it's just like the like I guess the best summary of this system is just that it's all based on like flavor text.
oh
And
yeah, it's
gameplay,
feeling
you know?
first, mechanic second. Like it's story
Exactly.
first, mechanic second. So something that like other TTRPGs, even like things like Pathfinder and stuff that I very much love, your mechanics inform your character in those.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Where the mechanics that you get given as part of your class inform how you play your character. And even if you are approaching from the reverse end and going, I have a character, I want them to be able to do these things, your character will have to adjust in some capacity in order to mechanically do those things in those games.
Yeah.
In Apocalypse, you're really encouraged to focus on writing a story and telling the story in the way that you want, in the flavor that you want, in the style that you want, in the visuals that you want, and then backing it up with mechanics. It's like it's coming at the design from a different direction, and I love this direction. Like it is a much more I would say interactive way of doing it.
Exactly.
Exactly. I agree.
Also, I'm absolutely going to point out the two from your rig. You have musicians who play with you, Circle Summer All, Dustwitch, Harridan, Jesus Christ,
Yep.
Blitz, Rolf Ball, Ambeek, Psy, and X many faceless backups, as well as when you play, your instrument shoots fire to harm, messy, loud. If I hadn't already decided on wanting to play a Maitre D, I would play the fucking guitar flamethrower guy from Mad Max Fury Road, because that's where this came from, and you cannot convince me otherwise.
Oh, totally. Totally. Oh my gosh.
Good shit.
It is.
This is very much some good shit.
On that last little bit under your music, though, I also really like how instead of doing those other earlier things, like you can choose to pander to the audience.
Yep, play your classics. Play the hits.
Yeah, yeah, and then it's all they cough up, and it's just all about who's holding your leash.
Mm-hmm.
And they get a buff, and I love that. That's so neat.
Don't stop me now.
But yeah. So yeah, I think that's about it.
That yeah, I think if and when we approach this at some point again, we'll probably make some characters and sit down for a little bit of play.
Yeah.
Who will run that? Who we will be playing, and who will play with us? We will decide in the future.
Yeah,
But
TBD.
nonetheless, thank you, my lovely co-host, for being here with me today. Always appreciate it. And
Thank you all.
I think I am gonna be sending y'all. I would send y'all to Skelly, but Skelly says they're starting soon, so they might be taking a. I think they haven't started up yet, so I'm gonna send y'all to Bracky in that case. Bracky is very cool. Bracky's doing some art on for some Monster Hunter stuff. Brecky does really cool art, and so if you haven't checked them out before, I
Yes.
definitely recommend doing so.
Good stuff.
I'm gonna send y'all over there. What do we want a raid message to be? Something silly in regards to what we were just interacting with.
Oh.
uh,
Oh.
Nah, that'd be too vague. I was gonna ask like, what's your special? We know what that means.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's see. Thing apocalypse.
Sweet.
World.
Just sweet.
Oh, just sweet. Yeah,
Sweet.
Yes, that works. Turkey.
Sweet.
Sweet.
Say hi to Bracky for those of you who pop over there. Very
Yeah, for the
cool
raid.
people, doing very cool art. And thank you anyone who tunes in or tuned in or watches the VOD. Have a lovely evening.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.